afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the Pickens County Board of County Commissioners regular session on Wednesday, June 23rd. I'm Kelly McNicholas Curry, the chair of the board. With me in the room here is Patty Clapper, vice chair, Commissioner Steve Child joining us at the boardroom table for the first time in a while, and a staff helping us. We have Rich Engelhardt, our deputy county manager, to guide us through today's agenda as well. And so joining us from home are Commissioners Greg Poshman and Francie Jacober. So we have a full board today and not the most robust agenda, actually. So to start us off, I'll see, do we have any additions and deletions to today's agenda, please, Rich?
We do not, Kelly. Thank you.
Okay. All right. And then let's see, have any members of the public called in to provide public comment? If you have, we invite you to comment on items that are not listed for public hearing today or for any item that is not on the agenda. And if you do wish to comment at this time, please go ahead and raise your hand or press *9 to raise your hand if you're on the phone, and we will recognize you and give you 3 minutes to speak. Hi, Joey. Okay, we'll give it a few minutes here to give folks a chance. I do see some folks that I'm not sure are here for items on the agenda, so if you would like to make a public comment, please go ahead and turn on your video and raise your hand now. Okay, let me just make sure, folks on Zoom, can you all hear me? Francie and Greg? Yeah, okay. All right, well, I'm not seeing any interest in general public comment, so I will go ahead and close the public comment period, and I will turn to commissioners' comments.
I'll go.
Patty?
Yeah, I'm sure we'll have more information about our fire band stage, which one we're in, which is stage 2. So we were just asking people to be extremely careful in anything and everything you do in the outdoors, even if it's your own backyard. Things are beyond dry, and as we know, we have wildfires burning all around us and throughout the state of Colorado and our neighboring states. As you can tell from the smoke, we had some significant smoke up here this morning, and it's coming and going throughout the day. So I just really want people to be very, very careful and really think about what you're doing when it comes to sparks or fires or even smoking out of doors. We can really only smoke in the privacy of your own home or your automobile. And as the signs on the highway says, please keep your butts in the ashtray. So, and we mean it when we say it, if it fits. But it's a serious environment out there, and we all love it here in our beautiful valley, and we want to keep it that way. So we really request that everybody really pay attention. And for those who are visiting, who have any concerns, I believe there's more information on the county website, and the newspapers also have links to it. So. And you can always call into the county if you want more specifics. So thank you, be safe, and enjoy.
Thank you, Patty. Greg, you had your hand up next.
Oh, I was going to cover pretty much what Patty just covered, and also a great exercise people can do to prepare is to just pack a go bag. We've been talking about that in our family. It's not easy to decide, but there are published lists of things that you should have in a go bag to help remind you if you have to leave your home in a hurry. You can't assume that there will be water at your home or even electricity. If everyone turns on their hose at once to put out the fire, there will be no water pressure in neighborhoods. So things to think about, but then packing the go bag, having that ready to go so you're not wondering what to take with you as you're fleeing a fire is a great idea. The other thing I wanted to bring up is just that we have a memorial on Saturday afternoon for Art Daily. It's been published in the paper, 3 p.m. in Heron Park. And then a week after that, I think Dave Stapleton on July 1st. people we've lost in the community in the last year. So these memorials are starting to come up. Thank you.
Great, thank you, Greg. Other commissioner comments? Steve?
So, welcome to summer, everybody. It's started off as a really odd summer, needless to say, with a major heat wave. It felt like August, with temperatures at 90 degrees at my house, where that's only happened several times over 50 years. So this will be my only meeting where I will be here in attendance until August, because I'm going to be going to Alaska to be at my daughter's house for the whole month of July. And I can get a really good internet connection if I go to the landing strip there in McCarthy, Alaska, where the National Park headquarters is, by the landing strip. So hopefully my Zoom connection will be good, but if it is unstable, sometimes I might turn the video off and just do the audio, but I'm going to make every effort to be at every meeting and hopefully have no technical difficulties Zooming from there.
Great, thanks for letting us know. Glad you can use the lessons from COVID to spend time with family.
Kelly, can I just add something real quick?
Sure, Patty.
I need to let everyone know that our thoughts and prayers are with Mountain Rescue Aspen at the loss of one of their own. They lost a 41-year-old, very active, involved member of Mountain Rescue, Chasen Russell. He had a kayaking accident in the Crystal River, and we just want everyone, his family, his friend, and the members of Mountain Rescue and the Aspen Sheriff's Office, who also, Pickens County Sheriff's Office, who'd also been working on this rescue and recovery. So we just want to let everybody know that they're their thoughts and prayers.
Thank you, Patty.
That
Steve,
reminds me, we lost a member of the community in a tragic bicycle accident the other day. Greg Smith was somebody who we knew a little bit. He was riding his bike along Lower Snowmass Creek Road and ended up in Snowmass Creek, and they are thinking that he had a seizure and went off the road and then drowned in the creek. But the road is very narrow and winding along there, and when I ride my bicycle along there, there are some places where you're this far from the edge of the pavement, there are cars going by, and if you lose your attention or something, you could be down over the bank and in the creek in an instant. So I urge everybody riding their bicycles up there and driving cars on Lower Snowmass Creek Road to be really courteous to everybody. And if you are on a bicycle, be really careful and just ride straight and true. Don't be weaving around at all, because the creek is right there, and it can be fatal, as it has shown this last week.
He was a longtime contractor in the valley, wasn't he?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He lived up in Southside.
Okay, other comments from other board members? I just want to take a moment to acknowledge our newest federal holiday, which was designated last week in between our last meetings. So the Juneteenth holiday, acknowledging the abolishment of slavery in Texas finally in 1865. And I think this is a real step forward for the recognition of the histories of African Americans and people of color in our community. A really important step. I wish we had taken more important steps this week with the For the People Act at the Senate to move forward, because I think we still have a long way for equal protection of rights under the law for all Americans. And I do urge our delegations to continue to press forward on the expansion of voting rights for all, because it's critical to our democracy. I think it is one of the most fundamental steps that could be taken to expand the franchise of voting and to strengthen our democracy at every level. And with that, if there are no other further comments, all right, let's move on to Craig, go ahead.
Kelly, thanks. This has been on my mind. The loss of Chasen on the Crystal River kayaking. I know it's a devastating loss, certainly for the Mountain Rescue people, and family and friends, the kayaking community. And it brings up another friend that I lost in 1997. Henry Philly was drowned in a very similar circumstance on the exact same stretch of river or section called Meat Grinder in the Crystal River, which is a extremely dangerous Class 5, Class 6 water, as we found out. And I'm sure these guys knew what they were getting into this last week, but every time something like this happens, that I'm tempted to ask that we put a plaque or sign up and put in above that section so people really understand the gravity of the circumstances they're entering. And I don't know if it's a good idea or not, but it's been on my mind, thought I'd bring it up. We could always discuss it, but we don't want plaques up and down the river anytime anybody's had a mishap, but that one in particular, I think, is the most deadly section of any of our local rivers, and probably worthy of an alert of some sort. Thanks.
Great, thank you, Greg. And I'll just say, I think it's a good reminder for everyone, in particular maybe some of our new members or visitors to our community, to just be really honest about what your physical capabilities are as you head out into our natural resources. That, you know, the mountains and the rivers and the weather and the altitude all require respect and preparation, and that people shouldn't assume that they can be safely rescued in all circumstances, and really just be thoughtful and truly honest with yourself about what you can and cannot do and what your limits are. So Greg, I'm sorry for your loss of your friend. And with that, let's move on to the consent agenda. Do any board members wish to pull items off of the consent agenda today?
If we could
Steve.
pull number 2 off.
Okay. Okay, so we'll separate out the minutes and the resolution regarding the abatement petitions. So is there any discussion about the minutes?
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
Thanks, Patty.
Second?
Thanks, Steve.
Second.
Got a motion from Patty, a second from Steve. Any discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, the second item is a resolution of the BOCC appointing Mick Ireland as an independent referee or hearing officer to sit on behalf of the BOCC to hear abatement petitions. Julia Ely, could you please explain to us this resolution, please?
Sure. So I'm Julia with administration. In the past, we have combined in one resolution the designation of hearing officers for the Board of Equalization with the appointment of hearing officers to hear abatement petitions. But this year, given the expected low volume of abatement petitions, staff has determined that we only need one hearing officer, and that is definitely manageable for one person, so we opted to do 2 separate resolutions. With that, we of course recommend that the board appoints Mick Ireland to serve as a hearing officer to hear abatement petitions through June 30th, 2022. And I'd be happy to answer any questions.
Great, thank you. Steve?
So my question, Julia, is if something should happen to Mick, if he gets sick or something unexpected, I'm wondering if we should appoint 2 people and have one just be a backup. If we could always appoint someone else if something should happen that Mick wasn't able to complete the work, but what is your thought on that, just having one person?
Well, that's a good point. But I do know last year, for example, we only had Mick Ireland doing both the Board of Equalization and hearing abatement petitions with no designated backup preemptively. We can, I'm sure, make that possible if it would make the board feel more comfortable, but we've done it in the past with only one hearing officer, usually Mick, to hear abatement.
Okay, and I mean, Mick is very capable and he's always done a good job, so, I mean, I'm okay going forward with just appointing Mick. And I guess if something should happen, we could always then appoint someone else to fill in for Mick.
Other thoughts? Yeah, Patty?
Yeah, that being said, Julia, I'm sure you have somebody in mind if the need arose, so I think it would be a simple procedure for us to do a consent item agenda and appoint somebody. But that's a good thought, Steve, and we'll just keep that in mind, I think, as we move forward.
Other thoughts or questions or comments? Greg?
I was just going to make a motion that we approve, appoint McNeil Ireland as the independent referee, hearing officer to sit on behalf of Board of County Commissioners to hear abatement petitions.
Second it.
Okay, thank you, Greg. Thank you, Francie. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, well, let's move on to individual consideration items and first readings. These items will be set for public hearing on July 14th. And the first is a resolution of the BOCC to recognize the formation of the Brush Creek Caucus. And we have Long Range Planner Ellen Sassano here to present this to us. Hi, Ellen.
Hi, Kelly. Can everybody hear me?
We can.
Okay. Thanks. So I'm going to be fairly brief. I'm going to start by covering the purpose of caucuses and then also talking about the process for board recognition of caucuses. And then I know we have some folks here from the Brush Creek Caucus present at the meeting, either online or perhaps in the audience, who may wish to address the board as well. John Ely is also here to address any specific questions you may have about the home rule charter as it relates to caucus formation. But so to start with purpose, I think you all are familiar with the caucuses. I know you had a work session several months ago where Don did walk through all the nuances of caucuses, but briefly, the caucuses create a forum for neighborhoods to come together and collectively respond to provide input on land use applications and to provide input on master plans. And that's more at a local level, but they also provide a body that state and federal agencies can come to disseminate information and get feedback. So they actually provide several purposes. In terms of process, the board may recognize a caucus by resolution in 2 readings. And what we're looking for from you today is recognition of the Brush Creek Caucus at first reading by resolution, the resolution that's in your packet, and then a set for a second reading and public hearing on July 14th, 2021. Just to be clear, the caucuses are advisory only. They are not regulatory body, which I think everybody knows, but always good to clarify that. And with that, unless there are any questions about the purpose or the process, I can pull up some a couple of maps to show the caucus boundary if there are any questions about the caucus boundary. Otherwise, that's really all I have in terms of a presentation.
Questions for Ellen? Greg, and then Patty, and then Steve.
Yeah, hi. I live in Brush Creek Village, so full disclosure. John Ely, shake your head vigorously if I'm speaking out of turn here. But I certainly support forming this caucus, and I'm looking forward to seeing the map. I know that at times Brush Creek homeowners would go to Woody Creek caucus meetings, but we're outside the Woody Creek boundaries. So this is a good thing, and I think it would be really good as a two-way street for dissemination of information to what is a fairly loosely spread area in the valley. There isn't a lot of coherence or cohesion or coagulation around ideas. So I think the caucus is a great thing, and I certainly support it. John didn't shake his head, but I'll stop anyway.
Okay,
Great.
Patty, and then Steve.
Yeah, just for clarification, so the on the map, the area of the Brush Creek Village or Metro District is in one area, but the actual caucus area will be the Brush Creek planning area, is that correct?
That is generally correct. The Brush Creek Metro District is definitely included within the Brush Creek caucus area and the planning area. The Brush Creek planning area was established in 2003, and the county landfill is actually included within the planning area, but not within the caucus.
Right.
So that is the one distinction between the caucus area boundary and the planning area boundary.
And then there's a little parcel further up Brush Creek Road that is closer to Snowmass Village.
Right.
Is that still part of it? It's just a little like in-holding up there.
Yes. So I will pull up a map in a minute, but yes, that is that is three parcels. They're 35-acre plus parcels. They're above Wildcat. I think they're called Wildcat Vista. And they are surrounded by Snowmass Village. They actually fall within the Snowmass Creek watershed, but they're not included within the Upper Snowmass Creek caucus area. And they do gain access off of Brush Creek Road and Sinclair Road off of Brush Creek Road. So they do have some common interest in geographic commonality with the Brush Creek caucus area, which is why they've been included. They are unincorporated Picken County, even though they're an enclave within Snowmass Village.
Okay. So they're up that little
that
draw
is-
there. They're up the draw when you're driving up Brush Creek Road. If you're going up towards Snowmass, they're in the draw up to the right.
Correct.
Okay, great. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Steve?
My question's already answered. It was about the
Yeah.
differences on the map that looked odd.
All right, and Ellen, who should we turn this over to on behalf of the caucus first?
Good question. I see Rick Stevens and Tom Newland in one frame there. I'm guessing they're going to represent, but I'll have to defer to them to see if that is in fact the case.
Okay. Did you want to? Rick and Tom, we also have someone in the room here who wishes to, I think, present on the proposed caucus area. Would you like to come up to the table?
Okay.
Oh.
Hi, I'm Fran Soroka. I'm a longtime resident of Brush Creek Village. Should I take
You
this
can
one?
take
It's your prerogative.
And I'm here to support the Metro District turning into a caucus area. We have the Metro District, we have several issues that we feel will be helped by becoming a caucus. So with that, thank you.
Great, thank you.
Thanks,
Very
Rick.
nice to see you.
Yeah, I see you again so soon. I just saw her the other
And
day.
then Tom and Rick, would you like to provide any additional information about the caucus formation?
Hello, Tom Newland and Rick Stevens here. I really like to have Rick talk about it, but I think the information we send in for the packet is pretty explanatory about the process and we went through and the meeting and just about everything else. But I'll have Rick talk a little bit about what Brush Creek Metro District's involvement in this.
Yeah, and I'm speaking for Jerry Scheinbaum as well, who couldn't be here. He's got grandchildren, came into town, so he's off enjoying life here in the Roaring Fork Valley with the kids. I learned about a year or so ago from Ellen and from Cindy Hooven that the Metro District and their referral processes were in place. They have a 1999 intergovernmental agreement between Brush Creek Metro and the county that talks to land use and a lot of other things. And it includes us in conversations that involve really anything and everything that goes on around Brush Creek, but the recommendation from your county staff was for us to create a caucus, because it would better represent the region, which is a little bit bigger than Brush Creek Metro. And given that the 2003 master plan was going to begin an update process, we went to the Metro Board, we went to the landowners. Derek Clark is online here, and so is James Pasanchi. I'm sure they'll speak. So that's what we've done, and basically it was initiated by Ellen and Cindy Hogan. We believe it's a good tool, and it'll help us going forward. We're facing a number of influences from outside our neighborhood, and want to increase the communication and kind of become part of the communication process that goes on between the county, the city, and us, and CDOT for that matter. So I was hired to kind of bring things up to speed, so that's what we're trying to do, and appreciate it. And our board, Metro Board, voted unanimously to support the formation of the caucus.
Okay, thank you, Rick. Greg, do you have a question? Go ahead.
Yes, just looking at the map, I see that the northwestern half of Sky Mountain Park is within this caucus boundary. It looks as if perhaps the radar station at the top of Shale Bluffs is within the caucus boundary, and I'm wondering, and as well as Brush Creek, of course. And so I'm wondering if is there any significance to that? I know it's an advisory board, and I'm appreciative of the scope of it. But I just wanted to know if there's anything that open space needed to know, or airport authority needed to know while we're contemplating this.
So everybody within the caucus area was notified through mail. But you bring up an interesting point, Greg, and there is a lot of property in this area that is publicly owned. And how the publicly owned parcels interact within the guidelines or within the caucus needs to be determined. In other words, if Cozy Point has to vote on something within the caucus, are they doing that on behalf of the city council? We're going to have to work those things out with not only the city, but CDOT and the county as well. They all own property within this area.
Ellen, did you want to respond?
Yeah, if I may. One of the things that the caucus will be required to do is develop bylaws. And bylaws do talk about voting procedures and protocol, and I don't know if John Ely wants to step in and talk about whether the specifics of how public entities would play into those bylaws and voting procedures or not. But we will have to look at the bylaws. We'll ask the caucus to submit the bylaws to the county so that we have them in hand and can look at them. John, do you want to add anything? John Ely, do you want to add anything to that, to respond to that question?
Well, the caucus boundary is proposed by the advocates for the formation and recognition of the caucus, and including within the caucus boundaries land that is owned by various public entities, the state of Colorado, Pickens County, City of Aspen, invites their participation as well. So there would be necessarily a vote for the owners of that property through one vote. However, the state and the county and the city don't lack for a voice in governmental processes. The purpose of the caucus is to get citizen input. So I can't imagine in the future that the three governmental entities mentioned are going to participate to much of a degree in caucus meetings, or out of concern of drowning out the voice of the citizens who we want to hear from.
Greg?
Yeah, also just wanted to make sure, is Pitkin Iron, Twining Flats, those areas, are they in the Woody Creek Caucus, or are they're going to be in a little no man's land between the Woody Creek Caucus and the Brush Creek Caucus, is that right?
Yeah, I'd have to look. I don't believe, I think you're right, Greg. I don't believe those are included within the Woody Creek Caucus. So at the moment, not every property in the county included within a caucus area at this point. We try to include most properties within the master plan areas, because we're required to by state statute, but I don't believe those are, included within a caucus presently.
That's correct, and
Got it.
Aspen Village as well.
Got it. Thanks.
And can I just ask, so this isn't super confusing for people at home or watching on Grassroots, can we put the map up so the area that we're talking about is clear?
I can do it if you like.
Please do.
Everybody see it?
Yes, thanks, Tom.
So here's the area in yellow. It includes a thin strip of City of Aspen property on the west side of Highway 82, but really nothing on the east side until you get to the intercept lot, Brush Creek Park and Ride, and some other private parcels adjacent to it, as well as Aspen, Mass. And then you've got the property to the south of Brush Creek, which are large lots and open space. And to the north, the Brush Creek Metro District and Brush Creek Village subdivision, and also some large parcels that are located to the west of it. There's those three parcels that are in within the town of Snowmass Village city limits. And then here's a landfill, which is included within the planning area, but not within the caucus area.
And the strip, if I may, Kelly, sorry.
Please, no, go
barking
ahead,
in.
Ellen.
Yeah, the strip that's running north along the highway there is part of the Cozy Point property owned by the city. So that's why it's included, because it's all one large property.
Let's see, other questions on this right now from board members? Let me make sure I can see all of our board members. Okay, I guess I'm just.
Sorry, I'm muted.
Yeah.
I muted myself. I mean, I took out my video because I was getting some poor internet reception, but I am here.
Okay, great, Francie, thanks. Do you have any questions right now?
I don't. I'm interested in what I'm hearing, though.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess I'm wondering, I don't know, have you heard, is there any interest from Wildcat, or, or the folks along Twining Flats or any of that? I'm not sure how far the outreach was required to go, or how far your outreach went to invite people to be included in this area.
Wildcat is within the town of Snowmass Village now.
Right.
Out in unincorporated Pitkin County, but so yeah, so I don't believe there was any outreach to them because they're within the incorporated municipal boundary.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but I thought those other three parcels you said were as well.
The other three parcels, which Tom can put right there, those are surrounded by Snowmass Village, but they are not within Snowmass Village.
Okay.
They are unincorporated Pitkin County.
Okay, thank you for the
They were,
clarification.
for whatever reason, they were not annexed to the town.
They're not attractive enough yet, for some reason, huh?
Well, they may not have wished to be annexed. I don't know what the annexation policies are for the town of Snowmass Village.
Got it.
So
Okay.
I don't know the background there.
Okay, well, thanks for that. It was a little confusing to me as to how this gets split up and who gets in and who gets out. So I appreciate that. And I would like to invite other, other folks proposing this caucus to address the board at this time if you like.
Hi, I don't know if anyone can see me because I can just see the map, but my name is Dara Clark, and I'm actually the president of the Brush Creek Landowners Association since the last meeting. I live at 701 Brush Creek Road, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm here to give support in favor of the caucus for several reasons. I think it's a better voice for the community. It will help with the master plan. It'll get residents more engaged, and it received a yes vote at the formation meeting. So I'm here to support it, and I'm just here to answer any questions. I don't have too much background, but thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak.
Okay, great. Any questions for Dara right now? Not seeing none. Oh, Greg, go ahead.
Dare, it's great to meet you, neighbor. We're not that far apart in Brush Creek Village, but I haven't met you yet. I guess this would be also for Rick and maybe Tom as well, is that my guess is the Woody Creek, or the Brush Creek Caucus, the newly formed Brush Creek Caucus, will have a fairly good lengthy list of issues. They might include water, and they might include fire, and they might include parking, and I just know there's a long list. I don't know if you want to share with us what you think you'll be putting on tap first, but I'd just love to hear what you have on your list.
Yes, well, I'm trying to bring up a letter we put together regarding the master plan. Here it is. And it just goes through a litany of things that are happening in this area. Whoops, that's not it, sorry. Anyways, maybe Rick could elaborate, but you know, we got the airport, we got the intercept lot, which is growing. We've got the Cozy Point Ranch, which has a lot of activity planned in the future, and as well, and construction going on right now on drainage improvements. It's just really a lot of things happening, right, Rick?
Yeah, I started in February of 2017, 18, I think it was. And was asked to take a look at everything and get caught up and get us into the 21st century. So that's what I've been doing. We've looked at everything. We have a brand new team of people helping us, including Tom Newland and Roaring Fork Engineering with our water system. We are working with Greg Schrader on traffic management, Dean Gordon on pavement evaluations. We're just going through all the old agreements and freshening things up. We're on a real priority to manage our water better. We were having significant leakage in that system. It's 35 years old. We went from about a 50% leak rate down to about 11% right now. We've done a number of capital improvements in Brush Creek to help that. We are, by contract, limited to how much water we can get from Snowmass Water and Sanitation District. And it's delivered to us in a 4-inch main that comes down Brush Creek Road. We've had a lot of requests from potential users outside the district boundaries to tap into our system, which we basically are just limited to not even, not enough to, hopefully, we're not going to run out. But in the summer months, we're seeing significant increases in irrigation, and we're talking to all of our residents there about conservation. Fire mitigation is a big deal, and I've been working with Valentine and his crew I also manage Meadowwood. So between Meadowwood and Brush Creek, there's significant, risk management that could be done there as it relates to fire. And I'd really like to look to the county to help us with some sort of regulatory action, whatever it might be. It can help us enforce some cleanup. Cozy Point Ranch is a big deal. There's a very historical cost-sharing agreement that defines how that road gets paved and plowed and all kinds of other things. So we're working with the city on renegotiating that. The park and ride, we looked at the solar farm with Woody Creek Caucus. The activity in real estate and new construction up there, obviously, as you guys know, it's just like everywhere else right now. So, you know, we've got a good Metro board. I'm really happy that Dara stepped up to the role of landowners. We're really trying to get a better database built, so we can more frequently communicate with everybody. Ellen and you guys on staff, Cindy, have been very helpful kind of guiding us through the maze, so to speak, of this caucus thing. And so yeah, it's kind of, and you know, for Tom and I, it's, I guess for a couple of old guys, it gives us something to do and keeps us off the street, you know, so appreciate it.
Sounds like you have plenty to do. Okay, and hi, yes, I see James Vichansi. Hi, how are you? Thanks for coming before us today.
Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, but you probably, can you see me?
We can, like most of you. Kind of like upper
Okay,
lip
great.
up.
Well, for some reason, I've changed my settings somehow, and I can't see myself, so I'm not sure if it's working. So I'm here to speak in support of the formation of a caucus. I have lived in Brush Creek Village for 17 years now, and 16 years as a renter, and I'm now a homeowner. So, very pleased about that. And I have been on the Planning and Zoning Board for Pitkin County for 6 years. And I recognize as a P&Z member the importance of having a neighborhood caucus, because when we do our long-range planning, we get rather substantial input from all of the caucuses. The caucuses typically prepare pretty detailed long-range plans for their neighborhoods and their list of what they would like to see happen over the long term in their neighborhoods. And it's always been a bit disappointing to me that the neighborhood I lived in didn't have a caucus. So I'm glad to see that we're forming one. We are a very unique neighborhood. I think I would be accurate in saying that historically, we are one of the closest neighborhoods to Aspen and Snowmass that is almost exclusively year-round residents. So we have unique issues that we deal with. We have a unique geology here in our neighborhood because of all the shale and the unstable soils. We have a lot of infrastructure issues that are unique to our neighborhood that other neighborhoods don't have to deal with. So I think it's really important that we have a caucus and that our caucus provide input into the long-range planning for all of the county.
Thank you. Any questions for James?
Thanks, James.
Okay. And Tom, I think you can stop sharing the map now, and then we can all see each other. Are there any other members of the caucus area that wish to address the board right now? I see one attendee. You can raise your hand or press *9 to raise your hand. Okay. Are there any other questions from board members for the proponents of the caucus area? Greg?
No questions now. I think we're going to hear more from the Brush Creek Caucus, and I think it'll be great, as I said before, to have them. One thing James neglected was to say that it's definitely the best kept secret in the valley, Brush Creek Village. But I don't have any bias there. And I could make a motion if we're ready for a motion. We can certainly talk about it, continue talking about it, but I move that we recognize the formation of the Brush Creek Caucus set for a public hearing on July 14th.
I'll second.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Patty. Okay, any further discussion on the topic? Steve?
So when James was talking about their neighborhood not being part of a caucus, my neighborhood has been part of a caucus for about almost 50 years. And I think the Woody Creek Caucus, probably the Crystal River Caucus and the Snowmass Capitol Creek Caucus both have had, or all have had really long lifespans, and so I am just used to living in a caucus area, and it's all makes, you know, it's kind of eye-opening to realize that there are people in the county who don't live in a caucus area, and now it's an opportunity for those in Brush Creek to be part of a caucus. Now, the thought crosses my mind that it would be possible for the Twining Flats and the Pick and Iron area, and maybe even Aspen Village, could potentially join this caucus area. They could petition the commissioners if there is a desire for that, because it seems like they have more in common with Brush Creek probably than with anybody else, aside from maybe Woody Creek. I guess it would be their choice if they wanted to join one or the other, but I would leave that open as a possibility, that even though it's not in the Brush Creek planning area, they do have, you know, kind of an area of interest that they might want to be part of this caucus.
Great, appreciate you, Steve, thank you. Other questions or comments from board members on the topic? I'm a little curious, how has the outreach to newer residents gone? Are you finding their interest in the caucus formation? And I'm not sure who to direct that to. Dara, thank you.
Well, I'm a new resident, and somehow I became president in my first board meeting, and then I became terrific about it. So I can tell you as a new resident of the community that it sounds very interesting to me, because I think there's a lot of things that could be done to make, I think this is the best place in the Valley personally, but you know, I'm biased obviously, and very happy to be here. So as a new member of the community and someone who does want to be involved, I think it's fantastic. And I think the more we speak to other people about it, the more they will realize how important it is to have a collective voice. That's just my opinion.
Great. Well, thank you. I think caucuses are fantastic. I love both small democracy and big democracy. So I'm sure this will enrich the efforts of the county and the neighborhood together. So with that, if I don't see any other hands, and I will call the question. All in favor?
Rick
Yes.
had his hand up.
Oh, I'm
Kelly,
sorry.
Rick,
Kelly, thank you. The other thing that's going on that's been very helpful in establishing relationships with new people and people that have been there for a while is the efforts we're making on water conservation side. We're tracking usage very frequently, every couple weeks in some instances, and we're reaching out to residents and you know, letting them know what their usage is and how it's going, especially right now with all the irrigation systems starting up. We see big leaps in consumption. One person who wasn't here, you know, as an example, used 66,000 gallons and wasn't living in the home. And so we've reached out, we're making contact with their contractors, their irrigation guys, their landscapers, and getting really good sort of contacts and relationships established. Our new bookkeeper is doing a great job reaching out to residents and letting them know what's going on. Like Greg said, there's a lot in the pot right now, so we're starting to see things spread by word of mouth, and people are calling us, and it's really working out pretty well. It's been a little bit, it's taken a while, it's taken 18 months, 24 months to get here, but it really is getting better.
Great, I appreciate all that work.
Kelly, could I ask Rick a question? Just Rick, if you could describe the relationship regarding the roads in Brush Creek, the Brush Creek Village, with the county.
That's another interesting one, because the roadways are dedicated public rights of way, and the county those have been deeded to the county. The maintenance, the capital improvements, the snow removal, all those kinds of expenses, any kind of fire mitigation or weed control along those right of ways are paid for by the Metro District. So Brian Pettit and GR and I talk quite often about what we need to do and how it works, and you know, one of the things that's popped up is parking on the shoulders for these construction sites. And I noticed you guys have reaffirmed an ordinance you passed in 2018 for permitted parking on these job sites that I'm talking to Romney at Road and Bridge about. So, you know, then we have the access off of Juniper Hill, which comes off of CDOT, serves the city-owned property, and then we have an easement agreement that I mentioned earlier. It's in the midst of being renegotiated, and I talked to Brian about that. There are other properties around Brush Creek that access off of 82 onto Juniper. The 45-acre site, for example, is one, and there's some other homes above there, and I think there's also another potential user on the Wildcat side that would go through Cougar Canyon. So there's, you know, we're just uncovering a lot of, it's almost like artifacts that we're finding in the old documents that are interesting, and we're trying to get up to speed on. And the county's been great. I mean, we have, working with them is fine. And,
Okay,
but there's, you know, all that stuff's going on, to Greg's point.
Okay. And I see James, you have a hand up. Go ahead, please.
I just wanted to add one thing that one of Rick's comments reminded me of. Since becoming a homeowner, I've become much more aware of wildfire mitigation in our neighborhood. And that started when I tried to get homeowners insurance, and a whole bunch of insurance companies wouldn't insure my home because of wildfire dangers. So last fall, I kind of banded together with 4 of my neighbors, and we hired a company to help us come in and clear dead trees and brush out of our properties. And all the properties in this neighborhood are probably in the 2.5 to 3 acre range. Most of it is heavily wooded and steep slopes. So this is something that I've become very aware of, and something that I'm going to be pushing over the next couple of years, and hopeful that having a caucus will help in that effort as well.
Great to hear it. Thank you. Okay, any other questions or comments from board members? Okay, seeing none, I will call the question now. All in favor of the Brush Creek Caucus recognizing the formation of the Brush Creek Caucus, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye?
Aye.
Aye.
And Francie, I don't know if you're on mute. We can't hear you. Can you come on your video or?
An enthusiastic aye.
Okay, thank you. Okay, and this is set for second reading and public hearing on July 14th. So I will see, I'm sure, all of you back then. Thank you so much. Dara.
Thank you.
Thanks all.
I'm actually flying back into town that day, and I am not sure if I will be back in time for that public hearing, but please know that whatever happens, I'm in favor of the caucus forming, and thank you.
Okay, duly noted. Thank you. All right. Take care, folks. Have a great 4th of July.
Bye.
All right, moving on to our next first reading is an ordinance of the BOCC approving the amended and restated deed of conservation easement for Cold Mountain Ranch. And I see, hi, Paul Holsinger with Open Space and Trails. Good to see ya.
Yeah, thank you. My name is Paul Holsinger. My job title is the Agriculture and Conservation Easement Administrator for Pickens County Open Space and Trails. And I can jump right in here with this item. It's really exciting to bring this forward. This was this is a project that has been getting a lot of positive comments from everybody, including the board previously at our joint meeting with the Open Space and Trails Board. And I'll share my screen and just give you a little context of where this Cold Mountain Ranch sits here. So I'm going to be using maps and more. Thank you, GIS department. So essentially, Cold Mountain Ranch is the traveling south out of Carbondale here. It's the first property you get to. When you cross the line, you actually see the property. It actually is right before the county line, which is right here, so a portion of it does spill into Garfield County. But we worked with Bill Fales and Marge Perry to conserve this 609-acre parcel along with this little unconnected piece up here in 2009, and it was part of a larger Great Outdoors Colorado grant, the same grant that got us the first phase of the Crystal Trail. It also got us a conservation easement on the Darien Ranch, which is actually just south of the Pickens County border, and a few other really great projects in the area. And now you can see where we are today, you know, with the most recent edition of the Sunfire Ranch that just got recorded back in December of last year. But this proposal is essentially further conserving the ranch to help Katie Fales, who is on this Zoom with her partner Howie, to construct their house on the property and continue the family ranching and homesteading tradition over there. And let me bring up another map to show you what we're doing. So, as I said, back in 2009, when we worked with the family to conserve the property, there's a lot of questions in the air of how they wanted to proceed, and so we built in some flexibility in the conservation easement to allow them to exercise some rights while they were deciding what they wanted to do, including a river site down here. This site was actually also gave them the ability to subdivide this 5 acres off and sell it as a separate parcel. And then they also have these building envelopes designated, only 2 of which are actually built in. This is where currently Bill and Marge live, right here. This is the ranch headquarters that you see from the highway a little more prominently. It's actually the old Desandry place, which is Billy Grange, who is another open space conservation easement alum. His mother actually grew up there, and Bill and Marge actually bought this portion of the ranch back in 1984. But they came to the Open Space and Trails Department and the Community Development Department to amend their open space master plan, as well as amend their conservation easement to come up with something like this. So just reduce the number of building envelopes. We have 3 set now. These 2, this one doesn't change at all. This building envelope kind of took some ground out of a wildlife sensitive area and moved it over to this flatter pasture area, and that's where Katie and Howie plan to construct their residence. And this building envelope just grew maybe about 1.5 acres. But the envelope that was in this draw has been removed, as well as this envelope that was along the river. So we're reducing the number of envelopes. We're clustering a development, a new development essentially, up in this area here. And along with that amendment, they're also proposing to reduce the cap of their residential square footage from 5780 or 5750. I'll take a look at that quick, but they're essentially reducing it down to 3,500. They're capping their residences to 3,500 square feet per residence, with an overall cap of 17,500 square feet, so down from 24,000 square feet. And as I said, this conservation easement has been really supported by Open Space and Trails Board as well as staff. We've all taken a look at this, and the Colorado Cattlemen's Agricultural Land Trust, who actually co-hold this conservation easement, they are all for it and wish to further this along. The one quirk about this is that this is going to run concurrent with the amendment of the Open Space Master Plan, which is actually a one reading item. So this is the first reading of this conservation easement, which is required to have two reading ordinance. The Open Space Master Plan will be presented at second reading along with second reading of this conservation easement, so that the finalization kind of ends all at the same time. But from what we've heard from community development, they are supportive of this proposal as well. And I see Katie and Howie are here if you have questions for them or would like to hear from them. I'm all done, but I could also answer questions from you as well.
Thank you, Paul. Katie and Howie, do you wish to present to the board or address the board in any way? Please do.
Yeah, we just wanted first, to thank Paul and Suzanne and everyone who's been shepherding us through this process. We know there haven't been many amendments made to open space master plans, so it's been a learning curve. And just a process that Howie and I are really excited to both be back, to be in this valley. We both teach middle school here and have been lucky enough to live on the ranch in a garage apartment for the last few years, but we're feeling very ready to build a more permanent house and, running two classrooms and under just over 400 square feet was tough. So we're looking forward to building a house. And we really feel like it's a win-win situation. The area where we're building just minimizes impact, allows us to use an existing road, so we don't need to construct an additional road. Some of those sites that we had previously established were maybe more private and separate. We put this easement on when my sister and I were still in college, and it seemed like just moving back and living on the ranch would feel really close. But now that we both live here, we've realized that we really love living on the ranch, living right next door to my family. And so we want to build in the spot that's the most logical, both for the agricultural operation and for the wildlife that uses this area really heavily. And so we feel that the sites we've chosen will have the least impact and will allow us to use existing power utilities, existing water lines, existing roads, and so just enhance conservation value and allow us to build where we are looking forward to building. Yeah, do you think there's anything to add to that? And then our other big thing is just, I thought that we could go straight to the building process because we had these permanently vested rights, so thought that this process would move slightly faster than it does. I'm sure that is no surprise to anyone. That is, always surprises people how long it takes. I have actually taken next year off of teaching in order to build our house. I teach 7th and 8th grade, and I have taken the next year off in order to do a lot of the construction. So I'm hoping anything we can do to expedite our process and get into the building department would be much appreciated, because I'd love to break ground this fall in order to be able to teach again the following year.
And especially since we're giving up a lot of rights with this. We're going from 4 building sites to 3. We're decreasing our max square footage by 24%, decreasing the maximum residential floor area of a single residence by 40%. And we're really increasing the conservation values of the ranch. So, any help in expediting the process would be greatly appreciated.
Okay, thank you.
Happy to answer any questions.
Okay, any questions for Paul or Katie or Howie? Steve?
So this is just amending the conservation easement, and I don't know if Paul can answer the question. Cindy Hubin's in the room also, maybe she would be willing to answer this, but does this also require amendment to a land use, approval? Cindy's coming to the mic there.
Yeah, the way that we've set up the process here is to show this first reading now, and then at second reading, you'll see the amendment to the open space master plan as well as the second reading of this conservation easement amendment, so that we can finalize everything all at the same time. So it's all getting worked out right now.
Cindy, is there anything else to add?
I think that covered it, but it's a process where when you approve the open space master plan regulation, both open space and community development had to work together on that, which takes amendments to, in this case, the plat, if you will, for the subdivision. And this today is taking care of the conservation easement portion of that. And we'll be back with the rest of it.
Okay, and on July 14th then, will that be the final approvals we can do on that date, so that then they could be applying for their building permit at that point?
My understanding is that open space only takes one reading, correct? With the open space master plan, I think we can do that in one reading as well, but I'll have to check with Suzanne.
Okay, because I totally understand where Katie and Howie are, and you know, wanting to get started on a project.
Right.
And taking a whole year off from teaching at Carbondale Community School, which is near and dear to my heart, you know, that's a huge thing for them to be doing, and anything we can do to expedite their process, I want to do that.
If I get direction from the board, we're happy to do that. It's a matter of setting, you know, the priorities in the office in terms of building permits coming in, and other people are waiting as well. But obviously, there are good arguments for having a large conservation project and supporting that and encouraging that in the community. So if the board wants to give us that direction, I'm happy to follow that.
Okay, thanks, Cindy.
And I'll ask, so right now we're assuming that the master plan amendment is ready for July 14th, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So can you come back with information at that time about, you know, what that looks like to expedite a permit over another permit, how that affects the work effort of the department? I just would like to understand that a little better.
Sure. I'm happy to do that.
Okay. And Francie, I saw your hand, and then Greg.
Yes, I just wanted to support the emphasis on this particular one, just because it is a very generous, they're making very generous changes, which are to the benefit of the county and the people who live in the county, and people who drive the road. And as you all know, I look down on their ranch from my house, and so I will see their houses more than probably anybody else. They are my western view, a part of it. It's pretty expansive, but so I really appreciate the lack of additional roads and power lines and all of the accommodations they're making to impact the surface of the land as little as possible. Both Molly and Katie's houses are utilizing current roads, and you know, that just makes a really big difference in what happens on a piece of property when you don't have to put in new roads and tear up agricultural land to do that. So, so Cindy, I'm giving you the direction from my little voice over here. So, enough said.
Thank you, Francie. Greg, I saw your hand.
Yes, thank you. I'm going to echo what Francie just said. You can just say ditto for what she just said. I would support expediting this. After what Katie just said, it's nice to see you, Katie, by the way. I fear for the future of Carbondale's youth. We've got to get this done. Okay, so let's get her back to school. But I thank you. Your family has done, some really enlightened work regarding land use in the valley, and I really appreciate it and appreciate all of you. So thanks a lot.
Okay, Patty?
Yeah, I think this is a great idea. I've followed the property for many, many years, and I actually, Bill Fels actually let me come up and pick up the old rusting headboard and footboard that was out by the fence right on Long Highway 133. And I brought it home, and I used it for many years in my backyard as a trellis for my sweet peas until it was pretty much falling down. But I always remembered him every morning when I'd go out to my garden. But I also just met another young couple from Carbondale Community School. I think he teaches PE and guitar. I can't remember what she teaches. So you're another good example of what we do need in the school system. So when Cindy comes back to us on second reading, I'm hoping the board will support seeing what we can do to move this along without infringing on others' rights to move forward in their own projects. So I'm going to leave the motion up to the two neighbors down there, but I'm going to be supportive.
All right, any further discussion or questions? I'll look for a motion.
Francie, you want to make the motion?
I don't have the wording in front of me, so.
I'll read it for you. Looking for a motion to approve the ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners approving the amended and restated deed of conservation easement for Cold Mountain Ranch. First reading, and will be set for public hearing on July 14th.
Thank you, Kelly. So moved.
Thank you, Francie.
I'd be glad to second that motion.
All right. Thank you, Francie. Thank you, Steve. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 All right.
In a couple weeks.
Okay, nice to see you all. Thank you, Paul.
Thank you. I'll be back later.
Sounds good. See you then. All right, we're moving on to individual consideration items. These are one reading public hearings. And so the next one is a special event liquor permit requested by the Buddy Program. And we have Jeanette Jones here. Hi, Jeanette. Nice to see you.
So nice to have you here.
Nice to be here. Jeanette Jones from the manager's office. This is the annual event for the Buddy Program that is going to be held up at the Merry-Go Ranch, 1650 McLean Flats Road. They have this event every year. There's never been any issues or problems with this event being held up at this property. And as I typically do, I believe we have Maddie Hawken here and Megan Perlman, and I am going to turn it over to them to talk a little bit about their event, how anyone goes to be able to purchase tickets, and I'll turn it over to them. And thank you both for being here today.
Hi, thank you so much for having us. I'm Megan Perlman. I'm the development director with the Buddy Program. So unless you have any specific questions, or we can get that later, I'll just kind of give an overview of the event, and then please ask me any questions you have. And Maddie, please jump in as well. So this is the 22nd annual Bash for the Buddies. It's on Friday, July 9th, and Gail and Boogie Wineglass will again be hosting us at their property on McLean Flats in Aspen. The evening begins at 6 p.m. It's outside and tented in Boogie's backyard. It's very flat and overlooking really spectacular views of Aspen and the surrounding mountains. It's going to be a little bit different this year. It's going to be smaller. We're thinking 300 people instead of the usual over 500 people. It's also going to be a little bit simpler. Instead of doing a silent auction, we're doing an online auction this year. And so everyone, whether or not you come to the event, is welcome to participate in the online auction. It's free to register to bid. And we have a lot of really wonderful items donated by businesses in our community. So you can register to bid at buddyprogram.org or give our office a call. Anyways, The party itself is going to be really, really fun. We have live music with Devin Allman and Dwayne Betts of the Allman Betts Band. And so it's going to be a seated dinner, live music, and then also just kind of like a brief program and paddle race fundraising for the Buddy program. The Bash for the Buddies is the biggest fundraiser of the year for the Buddy program, so it's really, really critical and important to the success of our programs. I know that probably most people here know that the Buddy program is a youth mentoring organization, and we served over 430 youth last year. We work with 136 adult volunteers between and 11 schools between Aspen, Carbondale, and Rifle. And so the BASH makes it possible for the Buddy program to provide all of our programs and services at no cost to all the kids and families we serve. So we're really grateful to our community for showing up and being very supportive of us and being very generous. And we're very grateful also to this board for helping make this event possible. And you can get tickets and learn more at buddyprogram.org, or feel free to call our office at 970-920-2130.
Perfect. Thank you. Maddie, do you have anything you'd like to offer?
I think Megan covered it all right there. We are just so grateful for all of your support over many, many years at this event, and obviously to Boogie and Gail, who allow us their property for our event. Thank you.
Okay. Questions for Maddie or Megan?
I do have a question. I hate to bring this up. In the AIS, and it says that in 2018 they were given a 3-year special event permit by the county, which if you add the years up,
20, 21, 20,
that
21.
maybe has expired at this point. I'm not sure. I want to check in on that. I don't want in any way to impede this event from happening this year, but we maybe need to renew the special event permit also.
It's my understanding, Steve, and thank you, that's a good question. Maybe this is a typo. Well, 18, 20, 20, 20. I think they're right in under the threshold here. Maddie or Megan, you can correct me if I'm wrong.
Sorry, let me jump in. It looks like Suzanne has a response.
Oh, sorry. Okay.
That's okay. Hi, Suzanne.
Hi, Kelly. Hi, everybody. Yeah, we've been pretty lenient, Steve, for folks that had 3-year permits and were unable to hold their event last year, that we've basically, extended that. So we've been working with them. There are a number of events that are in that same position this year. So to make their lives easier and our lives easier for these events that happen on a recurring basis, we're allowing that 3-year to extend to 2021.
Awesome. I'm really glad to hear that, Suzanne.
You could see the pain in Steve and even bringing it up. So.
Well, thank you, Steve. But it was my understanding that it was still current, so that's good.
Okay. Any other questions on this request?
I just have a comment.
Patty.
Yeah, this is a great event. Thank you again for bringing it back to us. And just remember, next year you'll have to do a special event permit when you come back for the liquor license. But that all being said, I would be with great pleasure wish to put a motion before the board to approve a special event liquor license application for the Buddy program.
Thank you, Patty. Francie.
I just want to check with Rye before I vote, because my sister is under contract with the Buddy program as a consultant for their fundraising program. So should I recuse, Rye?
Or John Ely, either.
Are you looking at me, Francie?
Yes, with your Rye. I can't tell. Or John.
Okay. No, that doesn't sound like that is an issue for recusal.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll second the motion.
Okay,
I don't think it was seconded.
It wasn't. Thank you, Steve. All right, so thank you, Patty. We have a motion and Steve for the second. Any further discussion? Okay, seeing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you, ladies.
All right, we wish you all success this year. Okay, we are
Thank you
moving.
so much.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 6, another one reading. Oh, I forgot to open the public hearing. John Ely, what should I do?
Oh, I didn't call you on it.
I know.
I move to reconsider the liquor license for the buddy program.
Thank you.
event.
I'll second.
Maddie, if you're still on, stay on the line.
I think they're gone.
Thank
Oh,
you.
there she-
Okay. My apologies. Gosh, I don't think I've ever done this. Patty always stops me from doing it.
I failed at my job.
So I do need to open the public hearing on the special event liquor, or wait.
We need to vote on the motion.
So we
to
have a
reconsider.
motion to reconsider the special event liquor license.
And
Can
I
have a
second it.
Thank you. Oh my goodness. Okay. All in favor of the reconsideration, please say aye.
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 Thank you all.
Now, Kelly, remember to open the public hearing.
Thank you. I am going to open the public hearing for the special event liquor permit requested by the Buddy Program. And if there are members of the public who wish to comment on this request, now is your time. Please raise your hand or press star 9. And we'll give it a minute in case folks from home want to call in.
It's getting so dark outside.
Okay, I am
Maybe it'll
seeing
rain.
no one wishing to make comment on this special event liquor permit, so I will close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for the correct motion.
I will now make a motion to approve, and I threw it on the ground over here already. The special event liquor license application for the Buddy Program.
Thank you very much.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Patty. Thank you, Steve. All right, any further discussion? All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay.
Aye.
Woo. I got vacation on the brain. Sorry, Maddie. Okay.
All right, we're done. That was a good one.
Now we'll move on to
It's
our.
the recovery that counts.
We'll move on to our second single reading public hearing. And this is an application for a hotel restaurant liquor license requested by French Pastry and More LLC, located at 303 East Aspen Business Center. And I will turn it over to Jeanette Jones. We have our applicant here in the audience, and I understand Alex Sanchez will be helping us with some translation as necessary. So we'll just move through this as slowly as we need to. And I'll turn it over to Jeanette.
Thank you, Kelly.
You're welcome.
Jeanette Jones, again with the manager's office. This is an application by Margareta Alvarez, owner of French Pastry and Cafe and More, for a hotel restaurant liquor license. And Margareta is here at the table with us. A little bit of background. Right now, Margareta's hours of operation are from, I'll find my notes here, 7:30 to 4:30 p.m. And she's been doing this for several years. She has a full menu. The full menu consists of burritos, salads.
Sandwiches.
What's that?
Sandwiches.
Okay, and sandwiches. And I did send the full menu to the state of Colorado, and they approved it under the hotel restaurant liquor license. They consider it to be a full menu. But with that said, Maggie is planning on staying open until 7:30 at night and offering a dinner menu.
Okay.
So that I just needed to point that out. The restaurant has a capacity to serve 20 people with an extended patio seating area for an additional 12 people, which I'm assuming will be used in good weather or in the summer. The parking, the building has 12 parking spaces. I spoke with John McBride about the spaces, and they are a first come, first served, just like all the other spaces in the ABC. So I've been out there a couple of times, and the parking lot was almost empty. Just wanted to point that out. I haven't been out there in the evening, but I've been there during the day, and it seemed like there's ample parking. So that is just my personal opinion on that. The lease agreement between the applicant and John McBride is in effect till May 31, 2026, and it provides for a commercial kitchen, a pastry kitchen, and the restaurant cafe. So she's in conformance with her lease agreement. There's two petitions attached to the memo. The first one, we needed a few more people from the immediate area, and I asked Margaretta to go out and talk to her neighbors and get their willingness to sign her petition. Maggie has submitted an attached letter with regard to how she is going to serve and control the liquor. And then just as recently as yesterday, we were able to find a liquor server trainer who is willing to come to Maggie's establishment and train her personnel, her people there. And it's Dan Egan, he's out of Carbondale. So Maggie has contacted him, and we are going to set, of course, upon approval of this application, we will set up a class for liquor server training with her staff. Brian, Paul, and myself inspected the cafe, and Brian asked me to relay to you all that he doesn't have any issues with the establishment from a health, safety, everything that a building inspector looks at. So I just wanted to point out that the board has approved 2 previous hotel restaurant liquor licenses at the AABC, and that's for M&M Dining and Pussyfoot Steeps. I think that was just last year, I believe, about a year ago. Notice that this public hearing was published, and Maggie posted the property. I have proof of that posting in my office. And of course, due to personal and private information on the application, PII information, that I didn't provide the full application because we don't want that going out on the internet. So staff's recommendation is to approve an application for a new hotel restaurant liquor license submitted by French Pastry and More, with or without conditions is your choice.
Okay. You have questions for Jeanette, Patty?
Yeah, well, first of all, I have a comment. I was out there the other day. There was parking available. There were people dining outside, and the cinnamon rolls were fantastic. The other thing is, under the attachment with the signatures, which are all from the ABC, very clear, very legible, but name of establishment is the Bio-Retreated Diamond Ranch.
Sorry.
So I don't know if we need to correct that or
I'll
what.
correct it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Just so
Thank
you
you,
know.
Patty.
So I read
Your
them carefully.
little Hawkeye.
Well, except I forgot Kelly's public
Thank
hearing.
you. There's
But-
always something. Huh?
Yeah, but it says it on the back side, so we're good. So if you just want to change it on the front, or one side or the other. But yeah, it's a great little opportunity. I think expanding the hours for the evening will be beneficial to people driving home and want to pick up dinner, or people in the area who can walk over there from any of the adjoining neighborhoods. Yeah, so I think it's a great amenity, and I wish you well.
And Margarita, did you want to address the board? Make a statement or talk about your business at all?
Oh, I'm so shy.
Okay. Are there questions for Jeanette or Margarita? Greg?
Yes, thank you. Margarita, it's very good to see you here. I love that restaurant since Frank owned it, and it's good to see that you have it now. I really appreciate the menu we've got there, and I'm interested in hearing if you'll continue the French pastries and soups and things like that. And I see you're adding Mexican dishes as well. Can you tell us a little bit more about the menu?
And
Alex
if
is
we can have Alex translate, if that helps.
I just, you know, my
si quieres
word,
hablar
maybe
en
they can
español.
understand
You
me.
can take your mask
Hang on
off
one
if
sec,
you
Alex.
want.
So we'll pull Alex up here, and you can see him on the
There's
screen.
Alex.
Alex, go ahead. If you could translate Greg's question, please.
Si quieres hablar en español, yo puedo hablar con ellos y él nomás dice si puedes decir cuál comida y todo vas a tener en tu restaurante.
Sí, pues el menú lo voy a dejar igual como la comida.
Do you want to, I think you're, okay.
So, el menú va a ser el mismo. Solo voy la comida mexicana la incluimos a petición de los clientes que pues les gusta y saben que yo soy mexicana, so preguntaron si yo podía hacer algún especial mexicano y he puesto, es la razón por la que he puesto la comida mexicana en el menú, pero seguimos manteniendo el menú que teníamos antes, solo tratando de mejorar un poquito para nuestros clientes.
So the menu is going to stay the same. The addition of some of the different dishes are just based on the request of the public because they do know that she is Mexican and able to cook some of these dishes, and so that's just in response to what she's seeing as requests from the public.
Great. Other questions for Margarita? I'll say, I hope you continue to make the Yule log. It is at my Christmas dinner every year.
You want to make that a condition?
Cinnamon rolls and Yule log.
Okay, any other questions, any concerns about the application, any input or changes? Steve?
No concerns. I do notice that on the people who signed the petition, there are quite a few staff members from CORE who work in the neighborhood. And we want to keep CORE going strong and well-fed, so.
Very good eyes, Steve. Okay, this is also a public hearing, and I will remember to open the public hearing this time. So if there are any members of the public who wish to comment on this application for a hotel restaurant liquor license at 303 East Aspen Business Center, the French Pastry and More LLC request, please raise your hand or press *9 or call in now, please. Okay, I'm not seeing any members of the public join us to comment, so I will close the public hearing and I will bring it back to the board for a motion, please.
I'd like to make a motion to.
I can make a motion.
Steve beat you to it.
I'll second Steve.
Okay.
So I'd like to make a motion to approve, I need to get on the right page here, the application for a hotel restaurant liquor license requested by French Pastry Cafe and More LLC.
Thank you. And I have a second from Greg. Okay, any further discussion?
Approved.
Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, good luck in your work.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Gracias.
I'll be talking to you. And I would just like to thank Alex. He has been with us since Margarita submitted her application, has been helping us through this process. So thank you, Alex, and thank you for joining us today.
Nice to see you again, Alex.
Yeah, thank you on behalf of the board. It's very helpful. We appreciate you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Always happy to help.
Okay. We're moving into public hearings and second readings on our agenda. So the next one is an ordinance of the Pickens County Board of County Commissioners amending ordinance number 21, 2017, and approving an amended lease agreement between Jedediah Aspen LLC and the Board of County Commissioners to extend the square footage of the concession boundary area into the secured passenger area of the Aspen-Pickens County Airport, and an application for modification of premises to a liquor license held by Jedediah Aspen LLC. And Jeanette,
Okay.
lots of liquor today. So nice,
It's
thank you.
flowing. Thank you, Kelly. And joining me, I don't want to miss this time. Joining me at the table today is Rich Engelhardt and Dan Bartholomew over at the other table, Rhea Bruff, and Mike, excuse me if I don't pronounce your name maybe you want to pronounce your last name.
Well, good afternoon. It's Guru.
Guru,
Like
okay.
kangaroo.
Okay, I didn't want to spoil that.
In the Senate
Thank you,
chambers, he
Mike.
comes to us.
Okay, as the AIS states, there are two components to this item today. The first one is a lease agreement, amending a lease agreement with Jedediah Aspen LLC. And the purpose for amending this lease agreement is because Jedediah has submitted an application for a modification of premises to their liquor license. The current lease agreement provides that I'll reference them as JALLC from this point on, be permitted to sell alcohol to individuals for consumption in the terminal area adjacent to the restaurant and the bar area. It also provides that they shall not permit individuals to carry alcohol or other beverage in glass containers from the restaurant and bar area. What JALLC is requesting is an amendment to the current lease agreement so that individuals can be permitted to carry purchased alcohol or other beverages in disposable non-glass containers from the restaurant and bar area into the entire secured passenger area of the airport. The lease agreement between the BOCC needs to be amended for the additional square footage area that they are requesting in order to file their liquor license the proposal for the amended liquor license to the state of Colorado. I'll just briefly go over some of the conditions that staff is requesting. And RIA did this to provide a letter describing how they're going to control the liquor and most importantly keep it out of the hands of underage persons. We do have that letter. They went over that with the board at first reading. To work with the airport staff to provide sealed trash containers with a swing top lid. And I did find those at Walmart the other day. And they're really cheap. So if you want me to pick them up, I'd be glad to pick them up and bring them in. But I think that'll work. To place in various places that no liquor can be taken outside the defined boundary area, and I'll help RIA with those signs. And then what the board requested at first reading, if there are any violations associated with the serving of liquor in the extended seating area, the BOCC will be notified, and the modification of premises permit could be jeopardized. So, but I think the applicants are taking this very seriously. If there are any any issues, we'll certainly bring it forward to the board. But I think they're doing okay. They'll do okay. The airport staff is in favor of this amendment, and Rich or Dan could speak to this if you want them to. And it's a public hearing, and staff is recommending approval of this, of both the lease agreement and the modification of premises liquor license. And if we could do two motions on those individually, that would be great, Kelly.
Okay. Let me just divide these out here. Okay, any questions for Jeanette or Dan or our applicants with Jedediah? Steve?
Well, I guess a question for Dan. Since part of the area of the secure waiting area is really out of sight of where they are serving at the food and the alcohol, do you foresee any problems with people? Some people will probably carry their drinks over there where they have a place where they're waiting for their plane. But I've been trying to picture in big airports, there are actually fairly large areas where some of the people can drink alcohol in other airports, and this is not going to be that much unlike that, I don't think. I wanted to get your opinion.
Oh, sure, absolutely. Well, my understanding is that the applicant will be making periodic, revolutions around the terminal area and the seating areas to, investigate and just make sure that nothing is against what the resolution is bringing forward. In addition, a number of airports do have this nowadays, which is way beyond, the actual serving area, but the entire expanse of the entire airport concourse or terminal can be available for the consumption of alcohol nowadays. So this is not unusual, so I don't see any issues with this, no.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Other questions? Okay, so this is a, well, let me invite the applicants. Did you wish to provide any additional information at this time to the board or public?
Thanks. Thanks to the commission and thanks for the questions. Just a quick comment. We sat down with all the stakeholders at the airport, went over this, and there were good questions there, and I think we addressed them all. And then we met with, of course, we met with you all on the first reading, and I think we've answered those questions. And Jeanette, we'll probably ask you to go over to Walmart for it. We appreciate that too. I think the key from Commissioner Child's question is that, as we stated before, we serve one drink for one ID. And so even if you come up and ask for a drink for you and your friend who you swear is old enough, we still ask them to come over, bring their ID over and set it down, and you get 2 drinks, one for each, and then walk away. And that with the periodic sweeps that Dan talked about, I think is going to take care of the problem. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay. I will go ahead then and open the public hearing on this item, an ordinance amending the lease agreement to extend the square footage for the concession boundary, as well as an application for modification of premises to the liquor license. So if any members of the public wish to address the board on this topic, please call in now or press *9 to raise your hand. All right, I will go ahead and close the public hearing, and then I want to ask a point of clarification, because Jeanette, you had indicated that we should make 2 motions, one on an ordinance, and then the second on the application, is that correct?
Yeah,
There
yeah, the
doesn't need to be a
modification.
resolution related to the application,
No.
similarly to the one we just did
Yeah.
for the French pastry, okay. Okay, so we have 2 items here then. And I will look for a motion on the ordinance, please.
I'll make a motion to amend the ordinance number 021, 2017.
I'll second.
Thank you, Greg. Any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
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 And the second one you need is approval of the application submitted.
Let me ask a clarification. John Ely, do we need to amend the agenda to split this out?
Take a quick look at the way that's. No, I don't believe so, Kelly. I think it's clear in the item on the agenda what the actions are.
Okay, thank you. So I will look for a motion on the application for the modification of premises to the liquor license.
I'll move to approve this application for modification of premises.
Thank you.
Second.
Thank you, Greg. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mike.
Okay, thank you, Mike. Thank you, Rhea. Thanks, Jeanette. and
Thank you all.
Dan.
Thanks, Dan.
Okay.
Thanks, Jeanette.
Moving on to item number 8, a resolution of the BOCC to establish and approve the Airport Advisory Board bylaws. This is also a second reading and public hearing. We made it. Hi, Rich.
You absolutely did, Board. Hi. Rich Engelhardt, Deputy County Manager, and Dan Bartholomew's here, also from the airport. So, yes, a long time coming. I do know that this is one of your priorities as a board whenever you had established and approved the resolution that adopted the Common Ground recommendations. So, just a little recap, January 26th, April 13th, and May 4th were all work sessions in which we went through this. Kelly, County Manager Peacock, and I sat down. John Ely went through it, fine-tuned it, and we presented that last week. I will say that I did misspeak on that one section about appointing the chair and the vice chair. I went back and reread that again, and it talks about the board and the BOCC, and it's distinctive in there that it's one or the other whenever it does mention that. And Kelly, I think, even said, well, I think that's referring to the board. So I did go back and look at that, and it's written properly, that the board would appoint the chair and the vice chair, not the BOCC doing that. So just wanted to make that clear. And then the other change we had was in the ordinance in the title. There was the word citizen board in there, and we did remove that. Other than that, we didn't make any other corrections. I believe we captured everything. But I'm sure if not, we can take care of it now. So.
Okay. Questions for Rich? Patty?
So when is this going out to the public as far as the application, so we can, we've had people calling about it, and we can let them know to find it on the county website, et cetera?
Sure, and John Ely, this may be a question for you. I do know that there's time that after you approve a resolution that it becomes law, right? It's posted. I don't know if this board wants to wait until that is formally done, or we can get it out tomorrow. I can work with Charlotte. I believe she's prepped it. The application is ready to go, and that's been included in your packet. And unless the board has further changes to it, we can get it posted and send it out. I do know that you talked about kind of deadlines. I would suggest that we put it out at least for a month, maybe, to allow enough time for us to advertise. We need to really do a nice public promotion on this, so we would get Laura Armstrong involved in helping us promote that. We'll get it on the website at the airport and do our best to get it out there. So we can go out at your pleasure, board.
Okay. If it's okay with John Ely that we do it sooner than later, I don't know.
Yes, there is absolutely no problem in going out and starting to advertise, especially if we're going to wait and give respondents, potential respondents, 30 days or so to send in their applications.
Perfect. Okay.
So I guess I would ask if 30 days, if we get into that, is that okay with the board? Do you want to extend it further, or are you comfortable with that?
I think we can
Board
always,
members,
we can always see if in 30 days we've had 5 people, or in 30 days we've had 500. And but we've extended deadlines on applications before. So I think in this case, this is a new one, so we kind of might want to see how it goes.
And I just want to make sure that you guys have enough time to do the advertising.
Yeah.
So it's not been open for 2 weeks, and the people only have 2 weeks to really respond.
No, what I would suggest, if 30 days, we'll work on the advertising, get it out, and give 30 days at that point.
Okay, perfect.
Okay. And then we can do a check-in after that and decide if you want to just close it at that point.
Does that sound good to everyone else? Okay, are there any other questions or comments on the bylaws as written? Greg?
I think the way this is advertised or noticed publicly might have an impact on who applies and who thinks that they should apply. I'm just wondering, are we going to see the copy for the ad, or will this come right out of the ordinance, or how will we? What are you going to ask for when we're looking for applicants? What qualifications are we looking for? And I'm asking, I'm assuming that it'll be pulled straight from the recital, but I wanted to know.
Yeah, Greg, we would do that. We're going to tie as much of it as we can to the ordinance itself. It's pretty clear in the roles, the expectations. We did talk about doing direct emails to the 123 people that were involved in a process, just giving them that heads up. But board, once we get this put together, we'll copy you in on it. You can send it to anybody you'd like. We'll get it out as many ways as we possibly can, because the goal is to get it out there.
When you send that out to the people who've been previously involved, will you attach a link then? Can you do that? Because I think people should see the bylaws at the same time they're looking at the application. So I think that would expedite their thinking process if they could just click on a link, review the bylaws, and then the application.
That's a good idea. We can make sure they've got that
make
prior
it
to.
as easy as possible for people.
Yeah.
We'll do that.
The reason I brought it up, Kelly, is just that if you're out looking for an airport board, you might find people taking themselves out of the running because they're not an expert on aircraft or on airports or on, but they might have very clear ideas on quality of life issues, and that's at the end of the day, that's what we're all talking about. So I just want to make sure people understand it's open, and that as they're going into this. Thanks.
Thank you, Greg. All right, I'm not seeing other questions on the text of the bylaws, so I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing on this item. Members of the public wish to comment on the resolution to establish and approve the Airport Advisory Board bylaws. We would love to hear from you now. You can call in, you can raise your hand or press *9 if you've already joined us, and we'll give it a little bit of time. Okay, I will close the public hearing. That's still how long you should be washing your hands, everyone. And with that, I'll bring it back to the board for a motion or any further discussion. Greg?
Yes, I'll make a motion that we establish and approve the Airport Advisory Board bylaws.
Francie?
I'll second.
Thank you. Francie, did you have any further discussion? No?
Nope. Sounded really great, Rich. You've done a great job with this.
Thank you, Francie.
All right, Steve.
So this has been a long time coming. I think my very first meeting as a commissioner, we talked about airport issues more than 8 years ago. And we've been talking about airport issues ever since. And this is just the latest part of the process for, working on getting continuing the public involvement, which we had a lot of during I can't remember now what we called it,
The ASA visioning process.
the visioning committee process.
Yes.
We had a vision.
And this is really a continuation of that same process of involving the public, giving them the opportunity to weigh in on a variety of airport issues. So this is really terrific. I'm glad we're at this stage, and I look forward to seeing the applications of people applying to be on the board.
Can I just add to that?
Yes, Patty, please.
Yeah, and I think what's really important is this was one of the top priorities of the visioning committee, was, this is where it came from. So I want the community to acknowledge the fact that, we acknowledge the fact that this was a community effort to appoint an advisory board, and we followed through on it as a priority.
Now, I would say, Steve, my first meeting as a commissioner, we discussed the airport and appointed the visioning committee at that time.
Well, I can say my first year as a commissioner, we've been talking about the airport.
My first thing I did that had to do with being a commissioner was go to the meeting at the Jerome.
That's right,
That was the beginning for me too.
So that just begs that with so many of our other county assets and resources, to have a citizen board advising us on how best to steward those assets and cultivate them, I think is completely appropriate here for the airport. So I look forward to it. And I will call the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Thank you.
Aye.
Okay.
Aye.
Now we get ready for the fun part,
Thank
when
you,
we
Board.
get
Thanks,
to interview
Leon.
everybody.
Nice to see you.
Likewise, thank you.
I'm sorry you
All
didn't get
right.
any cookies.
I'm gonna head there right now and see.
We are moving on
took
to
'em over
item
Sunday,
number
so-
9, a ordinance of the BOCC approving the Second Amendment to the amended and restated deed of conservation easement for Capitol Creek Ranch. I know we have Paul Hussinger to guide us through this, and I think I will turn to Steve Child, who has a statement for the board in public.
So I am recused on this matter and will be till it's finally concluded. So I'm gonna step out of the room, and I have my phone with me, or someone can haul her out the door, so.
Sounds good. Thanks,
Thank you.
Steve. These glasses, they're just fogging up, driving me nuts.
We keep getting that weird, like, UFO noise.
Paul, what's in your background? We keep hearing like lawnmowers and helicopters and.
There.
Ah, that's what it was. We couldn't
I'm
figure it
getting
out.
fogged up over here as well, sorry.
All
are
right,
we ready
Steve
to
is, yes, we are ready to
proceed?
proceed. Thank you.
Yeah, so again, my name is Paul Singer. I'm the Agriculture and Conservation Easement Administrator for Open Space and Trails. And this is the amendment to the Capitol Creek Ranch. And it's really just a technical amendment because over the past few years, we've looked at this ranch several times, has a new owner purchased the majority of the land from the Child family, about 1,400 acres, so about 1,380, and has been trying to figure out how he can create his ranch headquarters area. There really is no change to the AIS or ordinance, so nothing has changed, but I'll give you a background on just where we're talking about right now. Here we go. Again, using maps and more. So here we are. Here's where most of you are over there in Aspen. So we're over here in the old Snowmass area, and this is the Capitol Creek Ranch. Back in 2003, the south half of the ranch was conserved to give the family 10 years to decide how they wanted to split up this northern part of the ranch. Once that was done in 2013, unfortunately, a few years later, several other family members wanted to sell their pieces off, though thankfully, Steve kept his portion, which is kind of this area here. I'll zoom in and turn on the parcels. There you go. So Steve retained his ownership of these two parcels here. These parcels, everything else, was sold to Barrett or LLC, which is owned by Mark Grochon. He's an artist who really loves the property, and went through the process with Tom Dev and this board to adjust these lot lines, these 5. And what he really did is he removed this parcel 2, merged it with this one, moved this parcel up here to have a house here, kind of expand, and keep the existing structures that Steve spent most of his life in over here, and then also be able to build a new residence kind of right in the middle up here. And that's what they're going to be developing in the near future. These 2 parcels here, they don't have plans to develop right now, but they did establish, I believe, a building envelope right here and one kind of down here. So this easement amendment was supported by staff. It was supported by the BOCC when we went through the lot line amendment, mostly because it clustered the development up by Capitol Creek Road. It maintained that view and pull-off area that many people like to pull over right before the Capitol Creek Road turns to dirt, and remove that residence building envelope away from Capitol Creek, which this area right here it is a beautiful oak grove that drops off into a really nice Cottonwood Grove that we all walk through if you have a chance to go on a Roaring Fork Conservancy-led hike on Capitol Creek Ranch. But that's really the details of it, and I'd be happy to ask you or answer any questions you have.
Okay, great. Any questions for Paul on this request? Okay, we considered this in the land use process very thoroughly.
Yes, you did.
All right. I'm not seeing any questions. This is a public hearing, so I will go ahead and open it to the members of the public who wish to comment on our ordinance approving the Second Amendment to the amended and restated deed of conservation easement for the Capitol Creek Ranch. Please call in, or when you join us, press *9 to raise your hand.
Been very quiet today to see that whole slate blank.
Everyone's out doing better things.
Yeah, waiting for it to rain out there, maybe. I'm doing rain dances. Yeah.
Okay, I will go ahead and close the public hearing on this item and bring it back to the board. Greg?
I'd make a motion approving the Second Amendment to the amended and restated deed of conservation easement on Capitol Creek Ranch.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Greg. Thank you, Francie. Any further discussion? Okay, thanks to the Childs and to Mark for their continued conservation over there, and I will call the vote. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, that is a 4-0 vote. Steve recusing.
Can you go grab? Thank you.
Let me check in with the board. Does anyone need a quick break? We have
Sure,
a few
I can
more
do one.
items. Okay, 5 or 10 minutes. What do you prefer?
Let's do, do you want to do 10?
10? Okay. All right, we'll split it. We'll do an 8-minute break. Please come back at 2:10. All right, thank you. Grassroots, we'll see you in a few minutes. Okay, welcome back to the Picken County Board of County Commissioners regular session on Wednesday, June 23rd. We are making our way through the agenda here. We're on item number 10, an ordinance of the BOCC granting an easement to Lazy Glen Homeowners Association. And this is also a public hearing and second reading, and Rye Neely will walk us through this. Hi, Rye.
Board members, as Charlie just said, I'm Ryan Neely. I'm Assistant County Attorney. This is an ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners of Picken County, Colorado, granting an easement to the Lazy Glen Homeowners Association for the construction and maintenance of an upgraded wastewater treatment system. This is second reading. It is a public hearing. There have been no changes to the ordinance since first reading or the AR or the AIS. Well, the AIS has been updated a little bit. The board, you voted unanimously on first reading to approve the ordinance. Staff's recommendation today is that the board adopts this ordinance on second reading after opening the public hearing. As the board will recall, presented contemporaneously on first reading was a land use application for special review approval for the use that is facilitated by the easement today. The board did approve special review for the wastewater treatment facility on June 9th. This ordinance is the last step that the Lazy Glen Homeowners Association needs to finish with before they can get permits issued for the construction from the county. I can go into detail about the easement and its location. One thing that is not attached to the proposed ordinance yet is the resolution that approved the special review approval. That has not, or at least I haven't seen that come through fully executed yet. As soon as that happens and these documents are approved or adopted, if that's what the board does today, they will be recorded, and the Pitkin County Building Department will work with the Homeowners Association to get the permits issued to begin construction. I'm happy to pull up a map if you'd like, or I'm happy to field any questions from the board. I do think that this is of paramount importance to get this done. As we heard on June 9th, there is currently untreated wastewater leaking into the Roaring Fork River from this project. So, or it's not a project, from the existing development at Lazy Glen. So this will hopefully work towards remedying that situation. I guess the last thing that I would add is that the county property that was acquired, the county's fee-owned property that this easement is going to be located on, was acquired from the Lazy Glen Homeowner Association back when the subdivision was created. There are no restrictions on its use with respect to designated funds or anything like that. So this board has the ability to grant this property interest on the BOCC-owned property to the Homeowners Association without any restrictions. So I field any questions from you all, and like I said, I can put up a map or display the location of the easements if you would like. Just let me know.
Okay. Rye, why don't you do that for the benefit of the public, and I will, as you're doing that, I'll go ahead and look to see if any commissioners have questions on this item that we discussed 2 weeks ago. All right, Steve has a question whenever you're ready, Rye.
So on the signature page, which is on page 116 of the packet, that has my name down as chair, that just indicates when they started working on this was a whole year ago. It's taken that long, I think, to get it through the works. But anyhow, that needs to be corrected to put Kelly's name there for the signature.
Thank you.
I will definitely do that, Steve. Good catch. Sorry about that. Yeah, we did start working on this easement with Lazy Glen in 2020. It has been in the works since that time. I am trying to pull up the site plan, but my computer seems to be not liking that option. See if I can-
Okay. Greg has a question as well.
Yeah, just looking at the packet on my screen here, I'm not sure which map quite to look at, but does this easement in any way restrict public access to what was county land? I guess because of the new plant going in, we can assume that would become off limits. Just wondering, will Lazy Glen assert any rights that the public should know about, or do we need to make sure they understand just what the easement is so they don't assert rights they don't have? That's not clear to me.
That's a great question. As we touched on last time, there's an existing, beyond the fee-owned property that the county owns, which the wastewater treatment plant will be located on, there's an existing fishing easement that is located on the river left bank as you're all through the homeowners association property, and that fishing easement goes 10 feet above the high water mark. There is going to be a fence located around the treatment plant, as you can imagine. That is standard. So there will be a portion of property that I suppose the public could have utilized in the past that will be restricted through the construction of the wastewater treatment. Let me put this map up and I can just generally show you where that is going to be. So, board members, can you see the map?
Yep. Yes, thank you.
Yes.
Great. So here's the main Lazy Glen parcel. Here's the existing lagoon, and Highway 82 is right out here. So, basically the river is over here, and the new treatment plant's gonna be here, and it's gonna extend onto the county property in this hatched area. So this area will no longer be available for access to the public, I suppose. I don't imagine it got too much use historically, just because this is a pretty large, thick stand of trees right here with a lot of brush in it. And you can see this marking right here, says edge of channel. So this is the edge of the Roaring Fork, and then it flows under the Wingo Bridge right here. And folks can still come off the highway right away, cross under the bridge, and walk up along the bank through here, or come down from the Lazy Glen open space parcel where there's also public parking up by the nice new bridge up there. So that, I think the impact on public access will be very limited, to answer your question, Greg, but there is some great fishing through there.
Mm-hmm.
So I think hopefully it gets utilized still.
Okay, Steve.
I've been wondering what the existing lagoon is going to end up being, and I could see that the opportunity of that perhaps becoming a playing field or a playground type of area for the residents of Lazy Glen. So they might actually be gaining, maybe 3 years down the road, the time it will take to kind of drain the lagoon and reclaim it. But I don't know what the plans are for that, but it could become a very usable and often used part by the public. So they might be gaining the better use of the land than they actually have now.
Other questions or comments? Greg?
Another one, Rye, just because you've mentioned it, we have a problem now with water, sewage seeping into the Roaring Fork River. I guess the concentration isn't enough to alarm public health officials, but are we going to be monitoring it after this is constructed, or during and after construction, to make sure the problem with the leaching water is fixed, and is there I assume there's ongoing monitoring through the public health or sanitation, whoever's in charge of that. How does that work?
Yeah, so as part of the homeowners association's overall project, they're working with the Colorado Department of Health and Environment, as well as the USDA. I actually think the grant money itself is coming from the USDA for this project. As to the existing levels, I don't know. When the subdivision was approved, part of the resolution contemplated doing this project within 5 years of approval. And that approval was granted in, I think 2000. So it's been an ongoing and known problem at the development. Let me just confirm that for you. There's Patty's signature on it right there. Yeah.
That means we've really been working on it a while.
What century did you write
Yeah,
that?
they've been working on it for
a long time.
Yeah, Patty's signature is from 2002. And of course, there's a lot of infrastructure there before that. But yeah, the subdivision approvals contemplated fixing this project problem within 5 years. And thankfully it's being done now, but I mean, there are times when you're on the river there where you can smell the discharge, so it can't be great, you know?
Really? Are we going to issue an apology to everybody, north and west of Lazy Glen, regarding everyone downstream? That's about 50 million people, but maybe we'll just provide.
This is a good project to get done to help clean up that section of the river, so we'll be looking at this solution as we look at trying to come up one for upriver trailer area owned by the county, I imagine. So
ready to get this cleaned up. Are you ready for a motion?
No, I have to open the public hearing.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I forgot.
Okay, so I will go ahead and open the public hearing on this ordinance granting an easement to Lazy Glen Homeowners Association. And members of the public who wish to call in on this item, please do so now. And if you join us by Zoom, you can press *9 to raise your hand. Okay, I'm not seeing anyone join us to comment on this, so I will go ahead and close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for a motion, please. Greg.
I'll make a motion that we approve the ordinance granting an easement to the Lazy Glen Homeowners Association. And that's all we have here on mine.
Yep, sounds good.
I'll second it.
Okay.
I'll second it.
Oh, Patty beat you to it. Any further discussion? Okay, I'm seeing none. All in favor, please say aye.
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 All right, thanks everyone.
thank you, board members.
Thanks, Rye.
Get it done.
Thanks, Ryan. Ryan, last question, if I may. So how soon are they going to take action here?
I think this is the last step to issue the permit. I don't know when they're actually going to be on the ground with equipment, but they're chomping at the bit. I know that. I'm happy to communicate to the board, HOA's representatives, that this was approved today, and find out when they're going to start work, so I can let you all know if you want to make an announcement at the next meeting so people know what's going on or something like that.
Well, and if I remember
Great to be able to
correctly from first reading, they have to start work before the end of the year. Their grant requirements from the USDA require that they do this before the end of 2021, and I think they're hoping to make substantial progress to demonstrate such.
Well, and
That's
ComDev
helpful.
has them on an expedited process because of the public health issue.
Right. Okay, thank you, Ray.
Thank you.
So item number 11, a resolution to approve second quarter budget supplemental requests. And we have Connie Baker, our budget director, here.
Hi, Connie.
In the flesh. Hi, Connie.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. This supplemental request would increase the county's 2021 budgeted expenditures by $4,581,598. And this is offset by an increase in budgeted revenue of $1,367,432. That's a net increase of $3,214,166. We have a number of different requests included in the resolution. One is a position in community development. It's not a new position, but it elevates the climate action position to the level of a long-range planner and then extends the term limit of that position through the end of 2023. There's also a contribution to Pick and Iron for their septic system improvements, and this is an item that was forgotten during the budget carry-forwards. In the Human Services Fund, the Capital Fund, there is an increase for the Health and Human Services building generator, and also an increase for the uninterruptible power supply at the North 40 dispatch location. There's also an appropriation for 2022 Sheriff's Patrol vehicles so that they could be ordered in time to receive in the first quarter of 2022. In the Human Services Fund, there's another Access and Functional Needs grant. This is the third one that they've received, this one for $20,000, and that's a net zero budget request. And then also an increase for Human Services COVID outreach. In the Public Health Fund, the first request,
I think we had some feedback. I'm not sure why, but keep going.
There was a request to move the mental health IGA contract from the Healthy Community Fund into the Public Health Fund. There's a small request for Disease Prevention Quality Health Network Technical Services, and then 2 new grants from the Colorado Department of Public Health and Environment. One is a preventive block grant, and the other is immunizations. And these 2 grants actually increase the public health fund balance because they pay for some part of some existing payroll and benefits of staff. And then last, we have the Airport Fund, a request for repairs to the Airport Operations Center retaining wall, taxiway pavement rehabilitation of $2.6 million, and then a change in the accounting of general aviation management fees. Any questions on any of these supplemental requests?
Any questions for Connie? Patty?
I have actually a question for Francie. I don't know if she's.
I know. Francie, we're not sure if we're still connected.
Because Francie, you just took a tour of the airport. Did you see this retaining wall issue? Because I know you had questions about it. Was that part of your?
No, I did not see it.
Okay. I was just wondering if you could give us
I
input.
didn't see it.
All right. Thank you.
I saw about everything else there was to see.
We can come over, Patty. We can walk over there. Be a nice long walk.
Yeah.
And we have discussed these thoroughly through work session and first reading. Any final questions? Okay, this is a public hearing, so I'll go ahead and open the public hearing. Feel free to call in or press *9 if you wish to comment on Pickens County's second quarter budget supplementals, please. Okay, I'm not seeing any members of the public wishing to comment on this, so I'll close the public hearing and bring it back to the board for discussion or a motion, please.
I'll make a motion. that we approve the resolution of the Board of providing supplemental appropriations to the 2021 budget and amending the 2021 budget.
Thank you.
Second?
Thank you. Any further comments or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, please say aye.
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 I'll
Okay,
go order
thank you,
those new
everyone.
those
Thanks,
new cars.
Connie.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Get in
Connie.
that waiting line.
No, we made that request.
It's because if we didn't order them now, we wouldn't get them.
Okay, and now we're moving on to our last item on the agenda. This is individual consideration items and emergency ordinance on first reading, which will be set for confirmatory reading on July 14th. An emergency ordinance authorizing Pickens County Sheriff to impose and rescind bans on open fires and prohibition on the sale, use, and possession of all fireworks in unincorporated Pickens County at any time during 2021. And we are very happy to have Sheriff Joe DeSalvo here with us and Under Sheriff Alex Burketta. Would you like to, if you want to join us at the table, you can, Alex, please. A lot to talk about on these topics today, so we'll turn it over to you.
So I will approve the emergency ordinance. I don't know if John Ely can remind me why we do this every year. I don't know why it's not perpetual, but it's just a question, John, I forgot the answer. Maybe the public needs to know.
The authority in the state of Colorado exists on the part of the Board of County Commissioners to deal with wildfire, or not wildfire, but fire prohibitions and restrictions, as well as limitations for the sale and use of fireworks. And the BOCC may delegate that authority, and in our case, we've always delegated that authority to the sheriff, but that delegation cannot survive longer than a calendar year. So it expires at the end of the year of its enactment. And so this delegation will extend to the balance of 2021, but in 2022 and every year thereafter, the BOCC, if they want, must complete a new delegation.
Okay, perfect answer.
So, Steve and I may recall, I think there was some legislation
At the
on
tip of his
this.
fingers.
That sealed it for
Limit your
me.
terms,
So as you know, we started out in a stage 1 fire restriction a few weeks ago and quickly moved to a stage 2 fire restriction for a couple of reasons. A, I think the science definitely supports that we go to a stage 2 restriction, which is the dry fuels based on the energy release component. Second is, and maybe it actually is the primary reason, is we have an active fire that is right now at 3,500 acres in our neighbor's county, and I would really hate to have another fire start here when we're already stretching resources statewide and nationally. So that's the reason why we went into stage 2. We did a press release yesterday. I think the public is very familiar with this. It seems to be an annual occurrence here, and it's just life in the mountains or life in western Colorado right now. So we are currently in a stage 2 restriction. If you want, I'll give you a brief update on the fire. Right now, it's at 3,500 acres. It's grown significantly in the last couple of days. It is right now moving in the direction of, but not threatening, very important, not threatening the Woods Lake area, which there is a small resort community up there and some homes along in that area. So they've switched their priority more or less. A few days ago, there was a real concern it was going to come over a red table and drop into Meredith Thomasville. They have laid a pretty defensive line up there with slurry, and now they're looking at defending the site of the fire near Woods Lake. I'd like to tell the members of the public that live there that there is a community meeting tonight that the Eagle County is putting on, and I don't have glasses. So maybe Alex's young eyes could do this. ECemergency.org is where you could go for that information. 6D ain't easy.
You can borrow my pretty blue ones if you like.
So yeah, go to ECemergency.org for more information on that. But there'll be a public meeting for those on the other side of Eagle County. What's happening on our side in Pickens County is the Sheriff's Office, Basalt Police, Eagle County and Basalt Fire, Reefer, Roaring Fork Fire has a significant presence up there. And the main reason is a lack of cell phone coverage. The only way that we can get information to the public up there is via, as we're affectionately calling it, the coconut telegraph. Is we will send deputies to homes if we have to and spread the word, and they'll tell their neighbors who will tell their neighbors, the way it probably was 100 years ago or 50 years ago in some parts of Pickens County. So we have a big presence up there. There's a lot of air traffic. We do have a lot of support. Right now it is a federal fire that's encroaching on state land. So it could move to a state combination fire very quickly. Did I leave anything out, Alex? No. So with that, I'm happy to answer questions.
Yeah, Patty.
Because I know everyone's concerned.
Yeah, Woods Lake, so it's still not within Pickens County. So it's heading, Woods Lake is in Pickens County.
Correct.
So we just, you know, kind of the goal for me has been, and I hate to do this to my good friends in Eagle County, to keep it out of Pickens County.
Right, and in fact, yesterday when I said we got the weather report and the winds were blowing to the west, I said, well, that's good news, and the Eagle County Sheriff said, only for you.
At least we're honest about it and upfront.
But right now, there are no eminent structures in danger. It's burning. Today is cool, and as of right now, the wind looks lower than it did yesterday, which is perfect weather for fighting a fire.
Perfect. I know that yesterday it was heading towards the scree fields up there, which is good because there's no fuel in those.
That's right.
So and yesterday the fire was behaving nicely, and they were keeping track of keeping it in those lower fuel supplying areas.
That's right.
But you know, the wind has a mind of its own, as does the fire, as does the weather. So yeah, we just keeping our fingers crossed, and again asking our constituents, our visitors, our guests, our residents, just to really keep an eye on and be very careful out there.
And I would discourage people from going up the frying pan.
Yeah.
It not only will inhibit maybe some of our firefighting ability, but if we have to evacuate, I don't want people on the road.
Right. Sure. And I heard that the effort to evacuate the large animals went really well. People were very impressed. And that was good that we got that done with the big trucks, getting them up and down the highway before a need for anything else if it comes our way.
Yeah, that was on Monday that we did that first. The residents of Thomasville and Meredith were very cooperative. We felt comfortable that we could evacuate them relatively quickly if needed with the staffing we had and our technology, which is what I call reverse 911, which is hitting only landlines. We can't use our iPause system, which hits every cell phone. So there is no cellular service there. So I feel comfortable that if we needed to evacuate, it could be done efficiently.
So we're still on pre-evacuation notice up there.
Yes, correct.
And if we were to evacuate, we would then gear up again the center at Basalt High School.
Correct.
Which people were a little confused. We geared it up and then realized there wasn't enough need. And I want people to be aware that we backed off on that because we didn't want to overly utilize our volunteers and our resources because it's just the beginning of a very long summer.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for the update.
Other questions or comments from board members right now? No? Okay.
No, just thanks a lot, Joey. I really appreciate being kept in the loop like this.
Well,
You're welcome, Francie.
I have a question back to the emergency ordinance.
Go ahead, yep.
It says that staff recommends we revisit this the first quarter of every year.
So I wanted to bring that up.
Thank you, sir.
Alex Burchett, Undersheriff of the Sheriff's Office. It's on my calendar right now to bring this to you in March.
Thank you. That was
For sure.
perfect. Did we talk about this before the meeting?
I don't think so.
I think we
Yeah.
need to do our fire junkets in March and just
Absolutely.
plan them for March for every year.
Yeah.
It's already on my schedule.
Yeah,
Thanks.
good.
We'll get it
Always
done.
on it.
All right. Okay, thank you. So with that, I'll look for a motion.
I would be more than happy to make a motion for an emergency ordinance of the Board of County Commissioners authorizing the Pickens County Sheriff to impose and rescind bans on open fires and prohibitions on the sale, use, and possession of all fireworks in unincorporated Pickens County at any time during 2021.
Okay, thank you. And Francie, sorry, I was slow to see your hand. Did you have a question or did you want a second?
I had a quick question about, does this mean we're never gonna have fireworks again?
Not if there's restrictions. Francie, last year or the year before, I made a pitch that they basically be banned in Pickens County. I thought it was a progressive thought. It didn't catch on, but I just want the board to know at this point, there have been 0 requests for fireworks in 2021. So I do think they're starting to fade in popularity based on the threat.
And the environmental impact.
And the environmental impact.
I think one of the concerns we have, though, and I don't know if this is happening this year, you hopefully or maybe no more, but they're selling them in Garfield County, and people drive by that big stand at Cattle Creek, and it's like so easy to swing in there and then just keep going. And last year I stopped in there, I think it was last year, and said, oh, I just was looking at buying fireworks and I'm headed to Pickens County, and they were like, nope, can't take it. So I was impressed that they. And then they kind of was like, was this a setup? I'm like, no, I was just wondering if I could fire. You're like,
Well, if they go into stage 2, that stand is shut down.
Yeah, okay.
And I think I should tell this board that late this week, Eagle County will probably go into stage 2, and the Forest Service will go into stage 2.
And I just want to look
The
for
sign on the highway.
Can I, Francie, jump
The sign on
in?
the highway still says, I'm sorry. Yeah, the sign on the highway still says stage 1 at 82 and 133. Just, I don't know who takes care of that, but.
CDOT changes that sign, and they somehow missed that sign. They got all the other ones, one's in Pickens County, but in the process of changing that now.
Can I look for a second on the motion?
I'll second.
Before I forget to do that. Oh, and this is a public hearing too, so we will need to.
No, the public
Oh, no.
hearing is on
You're right,
confirmatory
thank you.
vote. But good try.
So this conversation has raised a couple things, I guess, for me is, for folks who have reservations up at Chapman next weekend or on the holiday weekend, are they being advised, is their system coordinated enough to tell them not to come?
It's a great question. I've never asked it, so Alex seems to know the answer to everything. As far as,
So I actually don't know the specific answer to that question.
What I needed you.
Stumped him, all right.
Well, I know, it's not closed, right? So the campsites and the campgrounds are not closed, but I think what's happening is when the campground hosts see people coming in, they're advising everyone, hey, there's a pre-evacuation notice in place, you should be ready to go at a moment's notice.
Okay.
So they are still open, but as
Sending
the
them
sheriff
out to
said.
your house to Camp Kelly.
Yeah, my in-laws were at Little Mod, so they've evacuated.
Carbondale. It's worth noting that right now those campgrounds are virtually empty.
Yeah, they're empty.
Good.
Which is a good
Which
thing.
may spike the reservations right up right now.
And then have we had the opportunity, I think, to sort of improve the road communication, closures, last year there was issues about we closed Independence Pass and people were heading up through, Hagerman and Cottonwood and communicating with Garfield County and Google and the maps software. So I hope we can be organized about that, or if there's any way we can help.
So we have actually, we've been meeting since, was it June? We've been meeting since March with CDOT. They put a great plan together on the closure of I-70. When I-70 closes, they have a phased closure in place that actually restricts semis and CMVs from coming onto Highway 82. And it also we've included all of our partners in Town of Basalt, City of Aspen, to all be together in the messaging and how we're going to handle Eagle Thomasville Road and Cottonwood and Indy and all that stuff. So yeah, we've been working with them.
Yeah, I think, did a lot of that come from rockfall concerns?
Rockfall concerns from the burn
From
scar
the
and
fire.
Grizzly. Yep,
Yeah.
that was the reason why we did it. And so just so you know, instead of closing I-70 going through Glenwood Canyon at mile marker 116, which is that main Glenwood Springs exit, they're actually backing it up to, they close at 116, they'll close it at the 109, which is Canyon Creek. And then they're actually doing a closure further back at, I believe, at the 87 in Rifle to divert cars and over CMVs up over through.
So we're not the only artery anymore.
Yeah.
Sure.
We've kind of spread spread this out.
So there's some work being done to try to alleviate
That's
the
really
issues.
good to hear. Makes really good sense.
Steve?
I keep thinking of the Twin Meadows camping area, which is up, I think, the Nast Colony Road. And I presume that he went everywhere where people tend to camp. including there, but I just wanted to double check and make sure, because it is away from the Frying Pan River and up on the other side, but the road access is still the Frying Pan Road, so.
For sure.
Yeah, we have one deputy in particular that's very familiar with the area. And we got Alex Durant to get us some pretty comprehensive maps of actually where homes are. So I feel comfortable, Steve, that we've reached the people that could be reached. You know, with the aircraft activity up there, it would be hard not to come out and say what's going on, you know, if you were at a campground.
Yeah, and then actually it's not very far to the McNamara hut from
Yeah,
Meadows.
that's
It's only
right.
about 4 miles, so is the 10th Mountain Division, are they plugged into the notifications
Yeah, I
also
think we got a
for
hold
their-
of Scott Messina, who curates most of those huts, and well, I don't think anyone's there now. Last
Most
week.
of them, I think most of the ones up there aren't actually open for reservations until July, so they're currently still unoccupied.
Okay, oh, that's good.
And
Any
Steve, for
further-
you, because I know you're interested in this, we had about 300 head of cattle that the rancher was thinking of driving them over Cottonwood or Hagerman to safety, which we had 3 day, and we just put them in Cellar Meadow. And I think cows are best to take care of themselves in fire. They just keep walking away from it until it catches up with them or not.
Can you imagine taking them over in trucks over Hagerman?
I could.
They would drive just a cattle
Oh, they were
drive.
just gonna do a cattle drive.
Not an
like-
actual drive.
No, not drive, drive.
They're putting them in the back of their Volkswagen and taking them over.
No, it was
That
legitimate
would have been
cattle
something to
drive.
see, though.
Yeah.
Drop them
You
into
can see that
turquoise
in
lake.
Africa any day you want.
Yeah.
All right, any further discussion, or questions about the fire?
And I think
fire
our relationship
preparation?
with Eagle County is spectacular. We're doing well. It's multi-agency, which always causes some confusion.
And I reached out to Kathy Chandler Henry because of the experience we went through at the Lake Christine. Kathy and I were backing each other up, so just to let her know that if there's anything we can do from the board level over here, and she was very grateful for that. That was like the first big night of the evacs over there, so.
It is amazing that we have such incredible experts from all these alphabet agencies, but our best information comes from guys like Steve and Francie, who are lived in these areas for maybe hundreds of years.
Yeah,
have
at
some,
least 200 at this point.
and that's just you.
We're approaching 100. Close to 100.
So the local knowledge that we're receiving about the activity up there is pretty accurate.
They know it.
know it.
Rich and Joe, I'm leaving on vacation this evening for 12 days, so Patty will be the board contact in my absence, just saying.
You guys know where to find me.
I know.
Kelly, I was going to mention yesterday during the work session, just with these two in the room, you had requested Valerie eventually coming back and talking about fire mitigation.
Right.
And I think right now she's very tied up, but just so you know, the board's interested in trying to get that back in front of them, so we'll look for
With
it.
the Forest Service mapping
That
of
was postponed
projects
on
we
June
might wanna
8th.
think about.
Yeah, it was, from a postponed meeting,
Yeah.
correct?
Yeah.
So, okay.
That'd be great.
Okay, so before you go, I need to call the question. So all in favor of this emergency ordinance, imposing or rescinding bans on open fires and prohibition on sale, use, and possession of all fireworks in unincorporated Pickens County at any time during 2021, please say aye.
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 Got it.
Thank you all.
Thank you all for your time.
Okay, thanks.
Alex, if you
care.
forget March, I'll remind you.
It's already in my calendar.
Okay. Thank you, guys.
Because I saw that too, and I was like, that's fine. Thank you.
All right, so now we are on to open discussion. Rich, do we have any open discussion items for the board?
I do, I've got a couple, and I believe, Steve, you're gonna be bringing up the ballot initiative, is that correct? Okay. And I mentioned the Valerie thing for you. The only other thing was that this morning, I believe you all received an update from Dave Pesnichek on the Brush Creek.
Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, and I don't know if that's something you're still wanting to have him come back and speak to, or if that satisfied the questions. I think, Greg, you were one that had raised that, and I don't know if you've had a chance to see that or not, but anyways, if you want him to come back, we can certainly put him on for a quick update.
Greg, I think you should.
I guess I'm
I'm content to leave it alone. I've since found a food truck who'd be very interested in coming in for any period of time on a pilot basis. And I put them in touch with Dave, and he said, well, we're not going to do it till next year. So I was just concerned that now that we've actually found somebody who's interested, I just wanted to follow up on why are we putting this off again. So it's frustrating, but I don't think he needs to come back. I'm not going to second guess him at this point. I just wish we had gotten him in there this summer, and I think if we ever wanted to do a food truck for a week or a month or whatever, they'd be willing and eager to give it a shot. So at least we know that now.
Okay, and
Well,
we can certainly.
Yeah,
get
Greg,
back
I
to
mean, were they aware of sort of the time limitations, you know, the 6-week lead time to get a contract and all that?
I think Dave probably told him that. And it's pretty daunting. It's like, yeah, we really want you to do this, but it takes 6 weeks just to get the approval. And it's like, gee, can we make it any more difficult? No wonder it was so slowly. And so I'm frustrated. But I'm not going to fight this one. I'll choose my battles. I can always seek the food truck out wherever else they are.
I was going to say, you put your daughters to work. They can open a lemonade stand or something down there.
But believe it or not, I proposed sending them down there as slave laborers, but you know, once again, it's just too difficult. You know, if we really wanted to make it happen there, we could. That's the bottom line. But there's always something that can tie it up. So here we sit. We'll do it next summer, I guess.
So, Greg, how about having a couple of girls from the Brush Creek caucus area open a lemonade stand down there?
That's what Kelly just suggested.
That was a second to. Did Kelly just suggest that? Yeah, well, you
That
just
was a
seconded
motion,
it. Can we vote on that? All in favor?
And I have 2 girls in mind.
All right.
They're on their way.
Steve, I know you have an open discussion item, and then we'll see if other board members do as well.
So we discussed this yesterday in an open discussion about the whether or not to, at this time, to do a resolution opposing the Initiative 16, which is called the PAWS Initiative. PAWS is an acronym standing for Protect Animals from Unnecessary Suffering and Exploitation. The Colorado Supreme Court just ruled against this initiative just a couple days ago. They ruled that the ballot measure is invalid because it violates the single subject requirement in the titles. So the measure was sent back to the proponents of it. At this time, there is no indication whether they're going to try to revamp and, you know, get a new name for the title of it and make corrections that are required by the Supreme Court ruling. In the meantime, 48 counties in Colorado have passed resolutions opposing the initiative, and we've been asked by CCI if we wanted to add our name to, you know, pass a resolution also. So I had sent to all of you 3 sample resolutions, one from San Miguel County, one from Las Animas County, and one from Larimer County, which all have, you know, the same basic information in them. So it would be easy for us to draw up a resolution using one of these others as a template for it. I guess the question is, do we want to have staff time spent right now working on a resolution that is maybe a moot point at this time? Now, if the proponents of the PAWS initiative come back and have a new title and start their effort again, then I would say we definitely would want to do a resolution in opposition at that point. But do we want to spend staff time now getting the thing worked up? And I'll leave that to the other commissioners to talk about.
Steve, did you have a preferred, oh, sorry, Patty. Did you have a preferred of the three samples?
They all seem okay. The wording of them was before the Supreme Court ruling, so we would have to add different wording saying, whereas the Colorado Supreme Court ruled against. So we'd have to change the wording of that.
Patty, did you have a
Yeah,
preference?
well, Steve, I read them all and highlighted. I think there's pieces and parts of all three that you put together, because some things don't apply, like 4-H programs and you know, meat processing. You know, we don't have the impacts as great, you know, that it'll do to the industry in some of these other counties. So if anything, we could parcel and piece it to make our own. But I'm comfortable in waiting to see what happens and if they come back, so we can have a more clear direction, because a lot of these resolutions will have to be redone because they don't apply anymore. So, because it's been withdrawn under this title. So I would rather just hold on to these and you know, get drafts of new ones that'll be coming out if this chooses to go forward. Because then they need to, if they move it forward, the next phase is going to be the collection of a lot of signatures, and it is for the 2022 ballot. So I'd rather just hold on to this information and then tweak it if need be in the future when we have a proper title.
Yeah.
If we have one.
That's really kind of my feeling at this point too, that there's still plenty of time. It's a year and a half away before the election in 2022, and there's plenty of time to come out if the proponents do come back, which we don't know whether they're going to.
It's pretty broad as far as the issues. I mean, when you're talking about what are shelters going to do when they can't spay and neuter, and you know what, and the environmental impacts of having to sustain a lot of the livestock for a certain period of time, and you know, brought up to me in my mind, well, can you go out and shoot a deer and elk who hasn't lived over 25% of their useful life? I mean, you know, it's just so broad spectrum, and right now I see no reason to support it as written, and they'd have to do a lot of tweaking to bring something back that I'm going to feel comfortable supporting.
Yeah, no, that really speaks my mind too, that let's wait. I can pass that on to Daphne at CCI, that we're going to wait and see what happens.
I will acknowledge that some of the big push was in order to get ahead of the signature drive. You know, that all this opposition wanted to be teed up ahead of time so that to discourage people from even signing it. Yeah. So we'll just have to sort of be quick at the, effort when whatever the next decisions are made by the ballot.
Yeah, and they have to come up with a new title. The title would have to be approved. That process takes some amount of time before they can even start gathering signatures. So I think we could, on short order, pull these up, rewrite it, but bring
everybody
it up
else
to
will be
date.
having to do that too. They're going to have to rewrite their resos with the new title, because they specify the title on these resos, which doesn't apply.
Yeah.
Okay, does that sound okay, Greg and Francie? Yeah. Okay. All right, are there any other items for open discussion today?
Nope. Just to wish you a great vacation.
I have a question.
Yes.
So does the board meet every week all year round unless it happens to fall on a holiday, or is there any period of time where the board is, I don't know, in recess or something like that?
Yeah, so our general schedule is we have 4 work sessions a month and 2 regular meetings a month. So for example, next week we don't have any scheduled meetings because it's a 5th Tuesday. So you'll have next week is sort of a recess, I guess. We don't technically call it that. And then we arrange our schedule around the holidays to meet, instead of the 2nd and 4th Wednesdays of the month, we meet the 1st and 3rd Wednesdays of the month in November and December. And so then after the third Wednesday, after the fourth Tuesday in December, we're generally on a recess until the first Tuesday of January. That sounds good.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
I didn't know that about next week. I'm glad I asked.
Yeah. So anytime you see a fifth Tuesday, that's, you have kind of 10 days between
Yeah, I
meetings.
remember that from like March or something, but I forgot.
Yeah.
So Francie, just so you know, my very first Tuesday, I arrived out in the meeting room and there was nobody in there, and I'm like, where is everybody? And then it's like, oh no. So I came all the way into Aspen for no reason. I never made that mistake again, though, I'll guarantee you.
But it doesn't mean that you might not have other meetings scheduled in the fifth week of the month.
There's almost always other meetings that fifth Tuesday week that we have to cover.
ACRA meets the last Tuesday of every month, so ACRA meets every fifth week. So,
Steve, do you plan to go to CCAT at all, or to Zoom in to any of the sessions?
I'm going to try to Zoom in, but I'm definitely not going over there.
Sure, okay.
When are you leaving?
Well, we're leaving Sunday morning to go on the Green River for a few days. And then I have a really quick turnaround. We're just getting back home and basically turning around and going to Denver to fly to Alaska. So.
What part of the green are you running?
What's that? Oh, we're going on the Labyrinth, putting in up near Green River and taking out at Mineral Bottom.
In canoes or?
We're going to have, I think, 3 canoes and a raft and a pack raft and a rubber ducky and a flotilla. We're taking a flotilla.
So will you both be out of town at the same time?
And that doesn't need to be permitted, right?
You need a BLM permit. It's not in the national park, so you don't need a national park permit.
Just for camping, but not for getting on the river, right? Or?
Well, Ruby Horse Thief, you need a permit to get on the river and
it's a to be on the river, you need a BLM permit, just like Ruby Horse Thief.
Oh, you do, even on Labyrinth. Oh.
Yeah. And they have all the, a lot of the same restrictions, like you need a fire pan, you need human waste facilities, and all the different things apply no matter where you go.
All right, I'm going to conclude our chat here. And you guys, we'll have a pause between our exec sessions, so I encourage you to continue chatting. But for the purposes of the public, we have finished our agenda for the day in our open meeting, and I will look for a motion from the board to go into executive session for the purposes of discussing Centennial HOA litigation, discussion with counsel pursuant to Colorado Revised Statutes 24-6-4024B and 4E.
I'll make a motion.
Johnny, can I?
What? Wait, John?
Yes, John Ely.
I wasn't aware, to tell you the truth, that we were doing an exec at the end of the regular meeting until I saw the agenda before we started. But there is an item that just came up that should not take very long to discuss if the board would entertain adding one more item to the exec session motion. And that would be the Roaring Fork Land and Cattle Company litigation pursuant to the same statutory site that you just read, Kelly.
All right, as long as we're allowed to do that. Patty had already moved. Is your motion amended?
I didn't get a second though, so.
Nobody seconded.
You did move?
No, nobody
seconded.
seconded.
So there was no second, so I will amend my motion that wasn't seconded to include another item that what was it, Cattle Creek Land?
Roaring Fork Land and Cattle.
Cattle litigation.
I knew there was a cattle in there somewhere. Pursuant to CRS 24-6-4024, I don't have my glasses on. B and E. That's
4B.
my motion. 4B and E.
Okay.
I'll second the motion. As amended.
Sorry for that clunkiness there.
And we do have a Zoom meeting that was sent to us, so we should be able to log into that.
All right. All in favor of entering exec, please say aye.
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 Okay, and thank you to members of the public. As we were just discussing, we do not have any work session or regular sessions next week. We will next convene on Tuesday, July 6th. Have a happy 4th of July, everybody.
A safe and happy 4th of July. All right, thanks, Grassroots. Thank you.
Goodbye.